To imagine a creature that lived millions and millions of years ago when Earth's whole structure and climate was completely different, still possibly out there or a form of it, is both really interesting and terrifying at the same time. Whether it's accounts of witnessing living raptors or the greatest lizard to have ever existed, welcome to the prehistoric cryptid Iceberg. Alright, let's get straight into a video now with the first entry of Tier 1. Megalania. The Megalania, known scientifically as Megalania prisca or Varanus priscus, was a colossal monitor lizard that roamed Australia during the Pleistocene epoch, which was roughly from 2.6 million to 11,700 years ago. At 35 feet in length and weighing up to 8,300 pounds, it represents the largest terrestrial lizard to have ever existed. It belonged to the clade Toxicophera and shared the characteristic of having venom-secreting oral glands with other reptiles. Aboriginal cave paintings and oral traditions vividly recount encounters with this predator. These depictions and stories often portray the Megalania as a really destructive force, which I bet it was. The thing is though, some paintings are believed to be less than 10,000 years old, which would be way after its supposed extinction date, with it being about just 40,000 years ago. Peter Hancock, who is an author who specializes in Aboriginal lore, recounts tales of Megalania's encounters with other formidable creatures, including great white sharks. This recent dating of narratives has led some, like cryptozoologist Rex Gilroy, to speculate that the Megalania may have survived into more recent times. Gilroy also points to historical accounts and modern sightings as evidence that Megalania or possibly even a similar giant lizard might still exist, hidden in Australia's vast wilderness. He even managed to cast plaster tracks from a reported sighting in 1979, suggesting the presence of a large, unknown lizard in that area. Skeptics, though, including paleontologist John Long, argue against the likelihood of Megalania's survival into modern times because of a necessity of a substantial breeding population. However, discoveries related to Komodo dragons, such as their ability to reproduce through parthenogenesis, offer some pretty interesting possibilities about the survival mechanisms of their ancient relatives. This discovery has led some to reconsider the size of a viable breeding population for such creatures. Also, on the topic of the Komodo dragon, which is essentially like a smaller version of the Megalania, was itself a mystery to the Western world until the early 20th century, showing the potential for other giant lizards to possibly remain undetected. Georgia Raptor. In a remarkable encounter on July 25, 2008 in Georgia, an 18-year-old and his grandfather, while on a deer hunting trip, reported seeing a creature strikingly similar to the raptors from the Jurassic Park films we all know and love. This event, taking place in the dense woods of their private land, involved coming across an animal that mirrored descriptions of a troodontid, a type of dinosaur known for its agility and distinctive physical features. According to their account, the creature emerged from the underbush onto a rocky path, approximately 150 yards ahead. It possessed a long, rigid tail, stood on two legs, and had noticeably short arms, complete with a significant claw on each foot and smaller claws on its arms. Describing it as lizard-like, the witnesses were astounded by its presence, given that such creatures were believed to have existed millions of years ago. That is pretty insane to think about though, seeing a raptor in the modern day, especially considering how terrifying encountering a dinosaur might be. Anyways, choosing caution over curiosity, they remained motionless to avoid attracting the creature's attention. It appeared to be assessing its environment, sniffing the air before eventually retreating into the foliage. This encounter left them convinced of the existence of undiscovered creatures, challenging the confines of our known and established scientific knowledge. Dodo. The dodo bird, scientifically known as Raphis cucullatus, once inhabited Mauritius's remote island, believed to have become extinct by the late 17th century due to human activities. This bird, standing about 3 feet tall with a distinctive 9-inch hooked bill, stout yellow legs, and a tuft of curly feathers at its rear, evolved in an environment free from natural predators. This lack of threat led to its inability to fly, as its sternum couldn't support flight and its wings diminished over time. The dodo's diet consisted mainly of berries and ground-level vegetation, and it nested on the ground. The arrival of humans though, and other animals like dogs, pigs, cats, and rats, introduced new predators to the dodo's environment, which, coupled with habitat destruction, led to its decline. While the last confirmed sighting of the dodo was in 1662, debates over its exact extinction date persist, with estimates ranging from 1662 to as late as 1693. Initially dismissed as a myth by the 19th century, the discovery of dodo bones renewed interest in the bird, challenging previous notions of its existence. Despite being classified as extinct, occasional claims of dodo sightings from uninhabited islands around Mauritius have definitely emerged, suggesting the possibility, however slim, of its continued existence in isolation. These sightings, though, have yet to be substantiated, and most experts simply agree on the dodo's extinction. Also, a notable hoax in 2015 involving a video purportedly showing a live dodo in Costa Rica was actually debunked, showing how it's still ongoing and the fascination is still there. River dinos. Cryptid enthusiasts and researchers have long been fascinated by reports of reptilian creatures inhabiting various regions across the United States, particularly in the American West. Dubbed river dinos among other names, these cryptids are believed to be remnants of prehistoric times that have somehow managed to survive into the modern era. Descriptions and sightings of these mysterious creatures have been reported in the Four Corners region as well as in Ohio, Kentucky, Texas, and Georgia, suggesting a wider distribution than previously thought. Characterized by their bipedal stance, river dinos are said to stand about 3 feet tall with arm-like appendages where 4 legs would typically be found. Witnesses describe these creatures as moving swiftly and gracefully, often associated with wet environments, which led to the name river dino. One of the earliest recorded sightings was by a couple in Arizona who claimed to have come across the carcass of an unknown reptilian creature. Another notable encounter involves a woman from the Mesa Verde area of Colorado who observed an animal that didn't match any known lizard species and seemed incapable of surviving the local winter climate. Additionally, a mother and daughter driving to Colorado in 2001 reported seeing a creature that resembled a cross between a bird and a dinosaur, lacking feathers and possessing a long neck and skinny legs. Despite the fascination with river dinos, though, skeptics argue that the sightings can be attributed to misidentifications or hoaxes. However, the consistency of reports over the years has kept the possibility of their existence alive in the minds of cryptozoologists. Tier 2. Amali. The Amali, a cryptid reminiscent of prehistoric dinosaurs, has reports of its presence in the lakes of Gabon, Africa. This creature, sharing similarities with the more popular Mokele Mbembe and the Nyamala, is described as an amphibious creature adorned with 3 claws on each of its feet, leaving behind footprints comparable to the size of a frying pan. The Amali, alongside the Jago Nini, another aquatic cryptid, reportedly inhabits the same waters, exhibiting a peculiar behavior of breaking ivory trees. This creature first entered the view of cryptozoological lore through the adventures of Alfred Aloysius Trederhorn in the early 1880s. Horn claimed to have discovered a cave painting of an Amali, which he then allegedly sent to US President Ulysses S. Grant, despite the timeline suggesting this occurred after Grant's presidency. According to local lore, the last sightings trace back to the 17th century, linked to speculation that the Amali may now be extinct, with only the stories of what ancestors witnessed remaining. Theories about the Amali's existence range from it being a surviving population of sauropods, a case of misidentification, or even possibly a new species of large reptile mistaken for a dinosaur because of its significant size and long neck. Also, the existence of pygmy mammoths and descendants from Pliocene and Oligocene species supports the possibility of smaller species surviving longer than their larger counterparts. Lone Pine Mountain Devil. The Lone Pine Mountain Devil, a creature of North American folklore, is often described as a venomous, winged predator bearing resemblance to ancient microraptors. Its legend is deeply rooted in the lore of the American Southwest and northern Mexico, where it's said to inhabit remote forests. Characterized as a bat-like cryptid, the creature reportedly possesses multiple layers of deadly fangs and talons, invoking images of prehistoric winged theropods, but with some venomous capabilities. The origins of the Lone Pine Mountain Devil trace back to Native American times, with the creature allegedly acting as a guardian of nature, targeting those who desecrate the wilderness. The most significant account, though, occurred in 1878, involving a group of Spanish settlers whose celebration in the Sierra Nevada mountains turned tragic. According to a surviving priest's journal, winged demons, as he quoted, descended upon the settlers in a horrific attack, sparing only the priest, who recounted the tale as a divine punishment for their sins. Despite its fearsome reputation, the Lone Pine Mountain Devil's existence remains within the realm of folklore and misidentification, with the scientific community dismissing it as a combination of legend and confusion over real animals. Also, sightings significantly dwindled after the early 20th century, coinciding with population growth in Southern California. Recent years have seen a resurgence of reported encounters, yet these claims often lack credible evidence. The legend was further examined in a 2021 documentary by the Crash Course Cryptozoology YouTube channel, which suggested the myth might have originated from an internet hoax. Despite this though, the Lone Pine Mountain Devil continues to captivate the imagination as a symbol of nature's retribution against human encroachment, embodying the mysteries that might still exist in the wild corners of the world. Murray. The Murray is a mysterious cryptid reported from Papua New Guinea, described as a large, dinosaur-like creature with a lifestyle that suggests both bipedal and amphibious traits. This creature, measuring around 6 feet in width, is distinguished by its massive legs, resembling palm tree trunks, a long neck, and a slender tail, alongside a unique set of largest triangular scoops on its back. Its skin is crocodile-like, and its head bears resemblance to large-eyed bovine, complete with impressively long teeth. The legend of the Murray has been part of local lore since it was first seen by native villagers and later by 2 missionaries. Its reputation as a potentially surviving T-Rex-like dinosaur has sparked curiosity and fear alike, especially following reports of the creature preying on dogs, which led to a significant search party involving policemen and villagers that ultimately yielded no concrete evidence of its existence. In the year 2000, the intrigue surrounding the Murray was reignited by reports from missionaries armed with paleontology books visiting the Lake Murray region. Their attempt to validate the cryptid's existence through comparisons with known dinosaur imagery reportedly agitated local natives. Another sighting came in June 2013 by an individual playing tennis, which just added to the creature's mysterious lore, and we still don't know too much about it. Mount Kansing Dragon Snake. The Mount Kansing dragon snake is a cryptid from Indonesia and is known to be a formidable creature terrorizing nearby villages from its cave on Mount Kansing in the Lampung province. Described as a dragon or living pterosaur, it has been a source of fear for years, with locals attributing the disappearance of small children and babies to this creature. It's depicted with a horse-like head, serpent body, and 2 wings, differing from the typical Asian dragon concept. Despite efforts to trap it by blocking its cave entrance, its existence remains a topic of legend and speculation. The creature's activities were notably documented in Jejak Jejak Misterius, which is an Indonesian TV documentary focusing on cryptids. Eyewitness accounts such as from Darga, an elder in the village, describe the dragon as a predator of small children, suggesting it's seen as actually a living creature rather than a mythical or supernatural being. Efforts to contain the creature by sealing its cave were a desperate measure to end its reign of terror, leading many villagers to leave the area. The Mount Kansing dragon snake could represent a case of misidentification though, or folklore, blending elements of real animals with mythological dragons. Some speculate it might even be a djinn, capable of shapeshifting, or a living relic from the age of dinosaurs, like a Dimorphodon. Regardless of its true nature though, the Mount Kansing dragon snake embodies the deep-rooted fear and fascination with the unknown that still persists in a lot of small communities. Alright, on to tier 3, Burunjor. The Burunjor, a creature that comes from Australian lore, is often described as a dinosaur-like being, which evokes some images of Tyrannosaurus rex or possibly descendants of Megaraptorids. This cryptid, deeply rooted in Aboriginal mythology, is said to be a massive lizard around 20 to 20 feet long, with small clawed hands and capable of bipedal movement. Its existence is primarily supported by accounts from the 1950s, where ranchers reported a large bipedal creature preying on their livestock, and Aboriginal tales depicting a creature with a diet that included kangaroos and other large animals. The most recent documented encounter with a Burunjor when a family traveling near Roper River claimed to have seen a 20-foot-long, feather-covered monster. Another notable report from 1978 involves Brian Clark, who, while lost in the woods, was part of an incident that led to speculation about the creature's existence due to mysterious, loud, and ground-shaking noises heard by rescuers. Despite the lack of new sightings in over 3 decades, the Burunjor continues to captivate the imagination, with some believing it could have gone extinct if it ever existed. This cryptid also finds itself at the center of debates among proponents of young Earth creationism, who see it as evidence supporting their views. The mystery of the bonjour still remains though, with only ancient Aboriginal cave paintings, fossil footprints, and details of history to possibly hint at the existence of Australia's own living dinosaur. Arzamassian monster. In 1719, a mysterious creature, later dubbed the Arzamassian monster, plummeted from the skies following a severe storm in Arzamas, Russia. Upon discovering the carcass, local officials adhered to an edict from Peter the Great, which mandated the forwarding of any unusual finds to St. Petersburg Kunstkamera for scientific examination. The decree underscored the notion that such anomalies were not products of supernatural forces, but of nature itself. The creature was meticulously measured and described by the finders, who noted its significant size, peculiar features resembling both aquatic and avian animals, and fierce yet lifeless gaze. Efforts to preserve the find involved submerging the carcass in a wine-filled barrel intended to transport to the Kunstkamera. Unfortunately though, the barrel, along with the remains of the Arzamassian monster, vanished en route, leaving behind only descriptions and speculations about its true nature. Descriptions of the monster suggest a length of 7.5 meters from snout to tail, and bat-like wings extending 7 meters, and pike-like teeth larger and more twisted than any known fish. Its tail measured an impressive 3 meters, and its limbs bore eagle-like talons, though on a much grander scale. The creature's eyes, though lifeless, were described as fiercely penetrating. Theories about the Arzamassian monster's identity range from a large pterosaur, a pelycosaur, or even an undiscovered species. The least likely hypothesis though says it was a Spinosaurid. The disappearance though of the creature's remains and the lack of any physical evidence makes it hard and has left the Arzamassian monster still shrouded in mystery. Ropin. The ropin is a fascinating cryptid believed to inhabit the regions of Papua New Guinea and Indonesia's Papua province. Described as a demon fly, it's often depicted as resembling a pterosaur or a large bat. The term ropin itself originates from local language, referring to a sizable nocturnal creature that emits a brief glow as it traverses the night sky. The lore surrounding the ropin is rich too, with some local narratives painting it as a creature of folklore, embodying both physical and spiritual attributes. However, there are those who firmly believe in its existence, describing it as a large, bat-like creature, sometimes with features reminiscent of pterosaurs, which were known for the long tails and wing structure. The ropin's diet is primarily said to consist of fish, though there are unsettling tales of consuming human remains, suggesting a tendency towards grave robbing. Also, contrary to some claims that the ropin's existence was concocted by creationists, its first reported sighting dates back to 1935 by the esteemed biologist Evelyn Cheeseman, a proponent of evolution. Cheeseman's observations introduced the ropin to the scientific community, although she initially encountered it as unexplained aerial lights during her research in New Guinea, well before the concept of a living pterosaur entered popular discourse. The debate over the ropin's true nature continues though, with some suggesting it might be a misunderstood species of bat, such as the flying foxes known for their impressive wingspan, or even a type of bird like the frigate bird. Others, however, entertain the possibility that it actually represents a surviving lineage of pterosaurs, particularly those resembling the Rhamphorhynchidae family, known for the distinctive tail shapes. This speculation is fueled by various accounts and expeditions seeking the ropin, alongside reports of similar mysterious lights and creatures in the region, which still remain unexplained by local mythology or scientific understanding. Manaus pterosaur. The Manaus pterosaur is a cryptid reportedly sighted in the vicinity of Manaus, in the Amazonas state of Brazil. This creature is described as having a wingspan of approximately 12 feet, featuring flat heads, long beaks, and elongated necks, with wings that are ribbed, resembling brown leather and apparently lacking any feathering. These creatures were observed flying in a V formation, a behavior noted by J. Harrison in 1947, sparking curiosity and speculation about their true nature. Several theories have been proposed regarding the identity of the Manaus pterosaur. Some suggest it could be a misidentification of large, native Brazilian birds such as the jabiru, maguari stork, or wood stork, which are known for their significant size and distinctive appearance. Another possibility though is that these sightings could be attributed to pelicans, which are known to fly in V formations. However, the more intriguing and controversial theory posits that the Manaus pterosaur could be, by its name, a specimen of pterosaurs. This theory is met with skepticism though because of the discrepancies in the descriptions of the pterosaur's anatomy, particularly the absence of pycnal fibers, which are filament-like structures present on many ancient reptiles, including pterosaurs. Critics argue that the descriptions of the Manaus pterosaur align too closely with the outdated representations of pterosaurs, casting doubt on the veracity of these sightings. Niger fire spitter. The Niger fire spitter, a cryptid reminiscent of dinosaurs or dragons, was reported in Arlit, Niger in 1984. This creature, which was described in a unique encounter, has sparked intrigue because of its distinctive characteristics and the mysterious circumstances surrounding its sighting. Local uranium miners reportedly encountered the fire spitter, leading to a confrontation where it was allegedly shot by army soldiers. The primary source of information on this cryptid is actually an email from an individual whose servant claimed to have witnessed the creature, adding a layer of hearsay to the tale. Described as possessing a long neck and tail with a head similar to a crocodile's, the Niger fire spitter reportedly has skin tough like an elephant's, spines along its back, and large clawed feet reminiscent of an ostrich's tracks. The creature's coloration was said to blend with the sand, marked with small black and white spots. When threatened, it was reported to spit fire at its attackers, a detail that significantly contributes to its mythical dragon-like image. The credibility of the Niger fire spitter's existence though is met with skepticism, primarily because of the anecdotal nature of its discovery and the absence of additional corroborating evidence. Despite this, the story raises potential questions of undiscovered species in Niger. Also, the description was provided before the discovery of Spinosaurus as a quadrupedal dinosaur, which adds an interesting layer to the tale, suggesting the servant's account might not have been influenced by contemporary scientific illustrations or knowledge. This detail, along with the local traditions of fire spitters in African cultures, where masks and myths often embody powerful, supernatural creatures, provides a fascinating cultural context to the creature's description. However, though, the most plausible explanation for the Niger fire spitter leans towards misidentification of known wildlife or other large reptiles native to the region. This doesn't really explain the fire-breathing part though, but that's basically the theory out there. Alright, Tier 4, New Guinean Iguanodon. The New Guinean Iguanodon, also known as the Papuan Iguanodon, is a cryptid resembling a dinosaur, with reports of its presence emanating from the rainforest near Tingavanavudu village in Papua New Guinea. This creature first captured public attention, especially after being featured in the television show Destination Truth. Reports of this creature date back to at least 1999, with sightings describing it as a large, dinosaur-like reptile, stirring renewed interest in the possibility of prehistoric creatures surviving in modern times. For instance, in 2004, reports emerged from near Rabaul, describing a 3-meter tall creature with a grayish color, a head similar to a dog's, and a tail similar to a crocodile's. Witnesses, including a villager named Christine Sami, recounted their terror upon encountering this huge and ugly-looking animal as quoted, which was likened in size to a 900-liter water tank. Despite search by police and villagers, the creature remained elusive, leading to speculation about its nature and existence. Comparatively, a sighting in 1999 near Lake Murray detailed a creature of significant size, with a long neck and tail, walking on 2 hind legs, and possessing sharp, finger-like teeth, like we talked about earlier. Its skin was comparable to that of a crocodile's, complete with triangle troops on its back. Both sightings drew parallels to dinosaurs, specifically in their size, appearance, and crocodile-like features, prompting discussions on whether these observations could indeed be that of a dinosaur, possibly a hadrosaur or iguanodon. Iguanodon, which was one of the first dinosaurs to be discovered, was a large bipedal plant eater that inhabited swampy areas, making it a plausible candidate for these sightings given Papua New Guinea's similar environment. However, the dietary habits described in some reports, such as the alleged consumption of dogs, raise questions about the accuracy of identifying these creatures as iguanodons, which were actually herbivores. Another theory though posits the existence of a relic theropod dinosaur, aligning with the description of sharp teeth and carnivorous behavior. However though, the sizes of known theropods in the region don't entirely match the dimensions provided by eyewitnesses, leaving the true nature of the New Guinean iguanodon shrouded in mystery. Pukahina predator. The Pukahina predator became a subject of widespread speculation and intrigue when its carcass washed ashore in New Zealand in June 2014. Found on the beach in Bay of Plenty by beachgoers on four-wheel vehicles, this mysterious and decomposing remains sparked immediate debate and curiosity about its origins, with some suggesting it was a creature from prehistoric times. Measuring about 9 meters in length, equipped with large teeth and rudimentary flippers, the find left many puzzled about what kind of animal it could be. The discovery quickly caught the public's imagination, especially after video of the so-called monster was posted on YouTube, asking viewers for their theories on the creature's identity. Suggestions ranged widely, from a saltwater crocodile to a giant moray eel, reflecting the mysterious nature of the find. However, marine mammal expert Anton van Helden weighed in on the debate, proposing a more scientific explanation. He suggested that the remains most likely belonged to a killer whale, based on its characteristics. Despite this rational explanation though, the initial discovery fueled a wide array of speculations, including the possibility of it being a surviving zeuglodon, which is a prehistoric whale. Amela natuka. The Amela natuka, whose name translates to elephant killer in the Lingala language, is a creature rumored to inhabit the Congo basin, extending its presence possibly into Cameroon. Described as an elephant-sized beast with a formidable horn on its snout, this cryptid is reputed for its aggressive behavior, notably its tendency to attack and kill elephants, buffaloes, and hippos. It's said that the local populace fears it for its ferocity, placing it among the most daunting creatures of local folklore. Characterized by its brownish to gray skin, the Amela natuka resembles a rhinoceros in shape, including the single long horn, which is subject of many speculation. This horn's composition, whether it be bone, ivory, or keratin, remains a mystery, complicating efforts to classify the creature within known animal groups. Its reported semi-aquatic lifestyle and herbivorous diet, primarily consisting of malumbo plants, adds layers to its mystery, painting a picture of a complex being that eludes simple explanation. Historical accounts of the Amela natuka date back to the early 20th century, with various expeditions and local testimonies contributing to its legend. Notably, Dr. Roy P. Mackel's expeditions in the 1980s provided a significant boost to its notoriety in the cryptozoological community. Despite the lack of concrete evidence though, such as physical remains or photographic documentation, the Amela natuka continues to captivate the imagination of both cryptozoologists and adventurers. Arica monster. The Arica monster is a creature that's said to dwell in the vast and unforgiving expanse of Chile's Atacama Desert, which is the driest desert on Earth. This cryptid, described as bearing a resemblance to both a dromaeosaur, a type of fast and agile dinosaur, and a kangaroo, has been the subject of sporadic sightings, particularly by motorists navigating the road that connects Lacuique and Arica. Reports describe a bipedal entity, approximately 6 feet tall, with sharp teeth and 3-toed footprints, indicative of its predatory nature. In 2004, an encounter involving several members of a large Spanish family detailed an alarming confrontation with 4 creatures that bore dog-like faces on kangaroo-like bodies, an account that adds to the mystery and perplexity surrounding this creature. The frequency of sightings in that year alone suggests that, if real, the Arica monster might not be a solitary creature, but part of a group of species residing in the desert. Speculation about the Arica monster's true nature though varies widely. Some suggest it could be a surviving dromaeosaur, a theory that tantalizes enthusiasts of prehistoric life and suggests a remarkable case of a living fossil. Others propose it might be similar to a Phoros racos, a large flightless bird that once roamed South America, or perhaps a Shuvarosaurid, a reptile from the Triassic period, given its described physical traits and the historical biodiversity of the continent. Another intriguing hypothesis suggests it might be a polydilopimorph, a group of ancient South American mammals, further expanding the potential explanations for its identity. The sightings and subsequent theories regarding the Arica monster have not only captivated the local population, but have also attracted the attention of the global cryptozoological community, featuring in investigations by the Destination Truth team and speculative discussions in cryptozoology circles. Despite the desert's harsh conditions which make sustained life challenging, the possibility of an undiscovered species or prehistoric survivor in such a remote area continues to fuel debates and expeditions. Yeren. The Yeren, also referred to as China's Bigfoot, is a cryptid reputed to inhabit the remote, mountainous regions of China, with a significant number of sightings reported from Hubei province. This creature, also known by various names such as Yeren, Yehren, Chinese wildman, or man monkey, is described as having reddish-brown hair, with some rare sightings of white-haired specimens suggesting albinism or advanced age within the species. Standing 6 to 8 feet tall and in some extraordinary claims up to 12 feet, the Yiren's physical description aligns with that of a large primate, bearing a large jaw and a human-like head shape, distinct from other known apes. Over 400 individuals have reportedly encountered the Yiren, prompting investigations by the Chinese government to uncover the truth behind these sightings. Despite the collection of footprints and hair samples, concrete evidence eluding scientific confirmation keeps the Yiren within the realms of legend and cryptozoology, much like its Himalayan counterpart the Yeti and North America's Sasquatch. The Yiren is generally described as peaceful too, often avoiding human interaction. However, an intriguing report from 1980 detailed a woman's claim of being kidnapped by Yiren, resulting in a pregnancy that bore an offspring with psychological traits of both humans and apes. This tale, even though it's sensational, contributes to the mystery surrounding the Yiren and fuels speculation about its actual existence. Cryptozoologists and enthusiasts have proposed several theories regarding the Yiren's identity, ranging from it being a surviving Gigantopithecus, a massive prehistoric ape, to a new species of ground-dwelling bipedal orangutan indigenous to mainland Asia. Others speculate that the Yiren could be closely related to humans, possibly representing a relative population of an ancient hominin species such as Homo erectus or Neanderthals, adapting to secluded environments of China's mountainous terrains. Tier 5. Mkuo Mbembo. The Mkuo Mbembo, a creature shrouded in mystery and known only from a singular report, is said to inhabit the western regions of Cameroon, Africa. Unlike the more frequent discussed Mokele Mbembe, which shares its geographic location, the Mkuo Mbembo presents a distinctly different set of characteristics according to local descriptions. This cryptid is described as a herbivorous behemoth with a head purportedly as large as that of a fully grown hippopotamus. Its body is said to be shiny black and it possesses a head reminiscent of a seal's, though flattened from top to bottom, indicating a unique physical structure among known animals. The creature's roar is described as gurgling, a detail that adds to the nature of its reported presence. Its semi-aquatic habits, as inferred from the singular account from it emerging from an aquatic cave to lunge at the water's surface, suggest a lifestyle that bridges land and water habitats. The creature's interactions with its environment, particularly its aggressive behavior towards hippos without consuming them, have led to speculation about its diet and ecological role. Such behavior could potentially explain the absence of hippos in the region, hinting at a complex ecological dynamic. Speculation about the nature of the Mkuo Mbembo, though, ranges from it being a surviving species of prehistoric marine reptile or mammal, possibly a seal or a large crocodile, to more fantastical theories involving extinct genera such as Pyretherium or Moeritherium. The latter, an extinct aquatic mammal from North and West Africa, has been mentioned due to similarities in the head's described shape, suggesting a potential connection or misidentification. Chikchani. The Chikchani is a mythical creature reputed to reside on Andros Island in the Bahamas. Described as a bird-like being, particularly resembling an owl, it stands out in folklore for its distinctive features and the superstitions surrounding it. According to legend, the Chikchani is furry, feathered, approximately 3 feet tall, and possesses 3 fingers, 3 toes, and striking red eyes. Local lore suggests that encounters with the Chikchani can significantly affect an individual's fortune. Treating a Chikchani with kindness is believed to bring good luck, while disrespecting it or harming the creature is said to result in bad luck and misfortune. This belief underscores the Chikchani's deep-rooted presence in the cultural fabric of Andros Island, with sightings reported up to the modern day, keeping the legend alive within the community. The origins of the Chikchani tales have been linked by scholars to the prehistoric Tytopollens, which was a large, flightless species of barn owl that once inhabited Andros. Standing about 1 meter tall, Tytopollens closely matches the descriptions of the Chikchani, suggesting the legend may have a basis in real, historical encounters with this now extinct bird. Although Tytopollens is believed to have survived until the arrival of settlers in the 16th century, who then cleared much of the eastern Andros forests, it's speculated that the species might have persisted in the island's western regions, possibly explaining contemporary reports of the creature. Gitmo bird. The Gitmo bird, also known as the Guantanamo Bay pterosaur by some, represents one of the most mysterious cryptids reported in the Caribbean, specifically within the southeastern end of Cuba. Sightings of this creature has sparked debates among cryptozoologists and enthusiasts alike, with accounts dating back to 1965 and as recent as 1990. Descriptions of the Gitmo bird vary, but it's generally portrayed as a large, bird-like or pterosaur-like creature, raising questions about its true identity and whether it could be a surviving species of prehistoric life or a misidentified known animal. One of the more compelling sightings come from Patty Carson in 1965, who described encountering a large, featherless winged creature near the Guantanamo Bay naval base. This creature was said to be as tall as a man, with a multitude of small, needle-like teeth and a long tail ending in a diamond shape. Patty's brother, Tom Carson, reported a separate sighting of the creature in 1966, further adding to the mystery. Also, another notable report comes from U.S. Marine Eskin Kun in 1971, who claimed to have seen two creatures resembling pterodactyls while stationed at the base. These accounts are intriguing, especially considering the isolation of Guantanamo Bay and Cuba's extensive coral reefs and forests, which could potentially harbor undiscovered species. The legend of the Gitmo bird is also sometimes mixed with the Santeria religion, a syncretic faith that developed in Cuba among enslaved Africans. A sacred story from this tradition speaks of a warrior named Ochosi who was tasked with capturing a rare, mystical bird, further embedding the concept of extraordinary avian creatures in local lore. Theories about the Gitmo bird's identity range from it being a surviving pterosaur similar to the ropin of Papua New Guinea, or possibly the extinct Cuban ivory-billed woodpecker, which was thought to have disappeared in the late 1980s but whose calls were reportedly heard in the late 1990s. Some suggest this could be the case because of the shared similarities between the crest and similar features. Dragons of Rabka. The Dragons of Rabka are a series of cryptids reported to have existed in the vicinity of Rabka Zores in Poland, particularly in the Gors Mountains of the Western Beskids. Last sighted in 1987, these creatures are depicted in legends and some historical accounts as bipedal, lizard-like beings of human size. Characterized by their lizard-like appearance, these cryptids were described as large and formidable, capable of moving on two legs, which is reminiscent of the bipedal stance associated with dinosaurs. They were known for their aggressive behavior, particularly towards animals, posing a significant threat to local shepherds as livestock, and even capable of killing wolves, a testament to their formidable nature. Interestingly, these creatures were reported to be active primarily from spring to autumn, suggesting a period of inactivity or hibernation during the winter months, a behavior that isn't typically associated with reptiles but might indicate adaptation to a local climate. The habitat of these creatures was the forested and mountainous terrains of the Gorsa Mountains, where they were said to dwell in the caves and burrows near hot springs. This specific environment, coupled with the region's unique geological features, might have supported their survival, offering a secluded refuge and could potentially hide such creatures from widespread human detection. Several theories have been proposed to explain the existence of the Dragons of Rabka. One theory suggests they could be surviving remnants of prehistoric life, such as dinosaurs, that managed to persist in this isolated area because of its unique microclimate. Another theory posits that these reports could be the result of mass hysteria or legends created to explain away or embellish encounters with ordinary wildlife or to serve as cautionary tales. The detailed descriptions of these creatures by local villagers, however, remain a curious element, suggesting either a remarkable coincidence with known dinosaurian features or the possibility of an undiscovered species having inspired these legends. Despite the fascination and speculation surrounding the Dragons of Rabka, their existence still remains unconfirmed, with no physical evidence such as bones or fossils found to substantiate the claims. The last sighting occurred in 1987, and the absence of further encounters suggests that if such creatures did exist, they have either gone extinct or migrated to a different region, possibly because of environmental changes or increasing human activity in the area. Alright, on to the last tier now, Tier 6, Ponic. The Ponic is a mysterious creature reported to inhabit Lake Bohiniagamuk in Canada. With over 1,000 sightings to its name, the descriptions of the Ponic vary significantly, though many reports converge on a few intriguing characteristics. Witnesses have described the Ponic as a massive creature measuring between 35 to 60 feet in length, equipped with 2 or 3 humps, a sail-like extension along its spine, flippers, and barrel-like neck, and a head shaped reminiscent of a horse. The history of the Ponic sightings dates back to 1873, with notable observations by individuals such as Louis Berube, a lumberjack who reported seeing a huge fish in the lake, and Benoit Lavoisier, who described a 25 to 30 feet long creature emerging from and then diving back into the water. The opening of a new road across Lake Bohiniagamuk in 1933 increased the frequency of sightings as it allowed more people to observe the lake and potentially the Ponic. Among the recorded sightings, Father Leopold Plante's encounter in 1957 stands out, where he witnessed a black entity with 2 humps suddenly appearing before diving into the lake steps. Similarly, in 1981, Mrs. Sylvie Thierola Lavoie reported seeing something large moving beneath the water's surface. More recently though, Father Calix Berube observed a dorsal finback creature appearing and disappearing in the afternoon light. The true nature of the Ponic still remains a mystery though, and theories regarding its identity range widely. These theories include a large yet unidentified species of fish, a surviving nothosaur, which is a type of prehistoric marine reptile, a giant otter, or even a classical sea serpent. Chipekwe. The Chipekwe is a cryptid that comes from Lake Bangweulu in Zambia. This term, derived in the Bemba language and roughly translating to monster, encompasses at least 3 distinct entities reported in the region, one of which bears a striking resemblance to the Emla Natuka from the Republic of the Congo, which we mentioned earlier. Misidentified in the past through photographs such as the Kasai Rex picture by Franz W. Grobler, the Chipekwe's lore intertwines with the mystery and allure of living dinosaurs. The origins of the Chipekwe myth trace back to European explorers' first encounters with Central African legends, fueled by local tales around Lake Bangweulu. These stories suggest the absence of hippos in the lake, attributed to a hippo-consuming entity that seldom left the water. Intrigued by such accounts and a Bushman painting depicting a dinosaur-like creature, zoo owner Carl Hagenbeck proposed that the Chipekwe might be a surviving sauropod, sparking numerous expeditions, though many were thwarted by disease. Further accounts by European settlers like J. E. Hughes added layers to the Chipekwe's legend, with reports of large, unseen creatures causing disturbances on the lake and tragic encounters leading to loss of local hunters. Descriptions varied from smooth, dark-bodied animals with ivory horns to shaggy, large beings with fangs, suggesting a diversity in the Chipekwe's portrayal that ranges from dinosaurian figures to mythical waterlines. A notable sighting in 1954 by Alan Brignell mentioned a creature with a small head and long neck, distinct from the previous descriptions and adding to the mysterious nature of the Chipekwe. Despite the varied accounts and theories, including suggestions of the Chipekwe being misidentified aggressive hippos, the creature remains an interesting figure in cryptozoology, embodying the mystery and unexplored wilderness of Africa. Through the work of researchers like Bernard Heuvelmans and Roy P. Mackel, the Chipekwe continues to fascinate, representing the endless possibilities of undiscovered life on Earth. Olisho. The Olisho is a creature rumored to inhabit Central Africa, particularly noted in the regions of Cameroon, the Republic of the Congo, Zimbabwe, and Zambia. This cryptid is often described as a colossal bat or flying reptile, evoking images of prehistoric pterosaurs. The term Olisho is believed to originate from the Ipulu language combining ol, meaning large or gigantic, and nyatya, referring to a flying creature. This creature is traditionally associated with ceremonial dance masks that depict demons, suggesting a cultural link to the supernatural or demonic rather than to a specific biological entity. In the realm of popular culture, the Olisho has captured the imagination of audiences through its depiction in the Lost Tape series as a cave demon and its portrayal as a giant bat originating from the Tora Bora caves in Afghanistan, which diverges from the African lore. Additionally, it appears in the video game The Secret Saturdays Beast of the Fifth Sun as a humanoid ally and is mentioned in Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker by the character Chico, who proposes the Olisho as proof of the continued existence of pterosaurs. The Olisho is reputed to possess a wingspan ranging from 6 to 12 feet, with a body cloaked in black and wings that may appear dark brown or red under different lights. Notably, its lower jaw is armed with serrated teeth, each roughly 2 inches in length, evenly spaced to suggest a formidable predator. The most prominent sighting of the Olisho dates back to 1932, when explorer Ivan T. Sanderson encountered the creature while hunting hammer-headed fruit bats in southern Cameroon. Alongside his companion Gerald Russell, Sanderson reported a harrowing encounter with the Olisho as it swooped down upon them near a mountain stream, leading him to describe it as the granddaddy of all bats. This incident has since become a cornerstone of cryptozoological lore, often likened to reports of the Kongamato, another legendary flying creature of Africa, which you mentioned in an earlier video. Embulu Embulu Embulu. The Embulu Embulu Embulu, translating to the animal with planks growing out of its back, is a mysterious aquatic cryptid reported to inhabit the Likuala region of the Republic of Congo. Alleged to be a living relic similar to a prehistoric stegosaurus, this creature has primarily been sighted by villagers near Bonilla and Elabo, who describe it as having green algae on parts of its body that emerge above water. The specifics of its feet remain elusive, as most sightings occurred with the creature submerged. Characterized as herbivores, the true nature of Mbelu Mbelu Mbelu's diet, along with many other aspects of its existence, remains speculative because of the absence of physical evidence. Its descriptions closely align with other dinosaur-like cryptids reported across Africa though, such as the Ngoma Monene, known for similar ridges down its back, and the Muhuru, resembling the Stegosaurus from Kenya's jungles. The creature's reported features suggest a creature not just surviving but possibly thriving in the remote waterways of Africa. Kittingvor. The Kittingvor, also known as the snake-eating cow, is a creature reported to inhabit the forests of Cambodia and Vietnam. This cryptid is distinguished by its cow-like appearance, featuring unique twisted horns that measure approximately 45 centimeters in length and a coat of spotted fur, setting it apart from known bovine species. The existence of the Kittingvor came to light in the scientific community when a set of peculiar horns was discovered by Wolfgang Peter in a market in Ho Chi Minh City in 1994. This discovery, believed by Peter and Feeler to potentially represent a new species, sparked interest and speculation about the creature's existence and ecological role. Historical accounts add to the mystery of the Kittingvor too, with reports from British hunters in the early 20th century who claim to have observed, shot, and killed several of these animals, using them as bait for tigers. These anecdotes suggest that the Kittingvor may have been a part of the region's fauna at one point, and although its existence today remains uncertain, the possibility cannot be entirely dismissed. The notion of a cow consuming a snake is not entirely without precedent too, as evidenced by an incident in Australia in 2020, where a cow was observed eating a large python. This rare behavior might lend some credence to the folklore surrounding the snake-eating cow, and suggests the legend of the Kittingvor could be rooted in unusual but natural animal behavior. Quetzalcoatlus. Quetzalcoatlus was a giant pterosaur from the late Cretaceous period in North America, known for its massive size, and when you compare it to a human, it's pretty scary. The name Quetzalcoatlus comes from Quetzalcoatl, a feathered serpent god from Mesoamerican mythology. Scientists believe the largest Quetzalcoatlus could have had a wingspan of up to 52 feet, making it one of the biggest flying animals ever. The interest in Quetzalcoatlus as a cryptid, though, mainly comes from Mayan sightings that resemble descriptions of prehistoric pterosaurs. One notable report came from Pennsylvania in 2001, where a 19-year-old driver saw what he described as a huge bird with a wingspan of 10 to 15 feet and a long, strange head. This sighting, along with others in Pennsylvania and Texas, presented the idea that a creature resembling Quetzalcoatlus might still be out there. These sightings, though, have led to many different explanations about what it could possibly be. Some people think witnesses might have just seen large birds, which they would have thought were, pterosaurs or Quetzalcoatlus, which have long wingspans and can look unusual from a distance. Others speculate that there's actually a real possibility that surviving pterosaurs are out there, linking these sightings to the ancient Quetzalcoatlus. Despite these theories, though, no solid evidence has been found to prove the existence of such a creature living among us. Direwolf. The direwolf lived during the Pleistocene era and was about 3 feet 5 inches tall and weighed between 125 to 175 pounds. It was known for its strong build and powerful jaws that could crush bones. Compared to modern wolves, the direwolf had a smaller brain size, and many direwolf skeletons have been found in the La Breatar pits, which provides a lot of information for us about these animals. They lived alongside other prehistoric giants too, like the saber-toothed cat, Smilodon, and it's believed that the direwolf was the original wild dog. However, details about their social behavior, such as if they lived in packs or hunted alone, are mostly based on speculation because of limited fossil records. Evidence suggests that there may have been two types of direwolves, one in North America and one in South America. Today, there's no evidence that the direwolf still exists, but there have been reports of sightings of creatures that resemble them, hence why it's on this list. Cryptids like the Wahila, Shankawarikin, Amarok, which we've talked about before, and even Fenrir are said to have similarities to the direwolf. Some people think that there may be a population of direwolves thriving in the remote Nahanni Valley, where a creature called the Wahila has been sighted. This creature is described as a wolf on steroids as quoted, and has features similar to the direwolf, such as bulky legs, a wider head, and shorter ears. The direwolf has also been featured in popular media, gaining attention in the Game of Thrones series where they played an important role. They've also appeared in video games like Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Ark, Survival Evolved, the Final Fantasy series, and the mobile app Disco Zoo in various forms. Bunyip. The bunyip is a mythical creature from Aboriginal stories in southeastern Australia, said to live in swamps, billabongs, creeks, and waterholes. Its name means devil or evil spirit in the Wemba Wemba language, showing that it's feared by the indigenous people. People have described the bunyip in different ways though, some saying it looks like a dog with dark fur, a horse-like tail, flippers, and even tusks like a walrus, and that leaves a lot of speculation about what it actually looks like. The first reported sightings of the bunyip date back to 1818, when explorers found large bones in Lake Bathurst,
thinking they belonged to a manatee or a hippopotamus. However, it wasn't until the mid-1830s that the name bunyip itself became popular after fossilized bones were discovered in Wellington Caves, eventually identified as belonging to prehistoric marsupials like Diprotodon. And the bunyip became even more famous in 1845, when the Geelong Advertiser published a detailed description, marking the first recorded use of the name bunyip. Also, a noteworthy thing to add was in 1847, a strange skull was found near Bulleraland, initially believed to be from an unknown creature, but later identified as a deformed foal or calf, yet still displayed as a possible evidence of the bunyip at the Australian Museum in Sydney. There are many legends about the bunyip, including one about a man named Bunyip, who turned into an evil spirit for breaking a sacred law and started attacking people and livestock. In 1857, a newspaper article described an encounter with the creature, likening it to a large seal with a swan-like neck, a dog-like head, and a strange pouch under its jaw, which just added to the mystery surrounding this beast. And yeah, it resembles a prehistoric creature, as you can see in the pictures. Terror birds. Terror birds were powerful predators that used to live in South America and stood almost 3 meters tall. They were at the top of the food chain at the time for many years before becoming extinct, and they couldn't fly and were much larger than any flightless bird we know today, like the ostrich. The closest living relatives to terror birds are believed to be the secretary bird in Africa and the sirmas in South America. Fossil discoveries in Texas and Florida challenged the idea that terror birds were only in South America, showing that at least one species had migrated to North America and survived until around 2 million years ago. These North American terror birds could have been as tall as 6 to 12 feet and had evolved arms with claws instead of wings, making them look like small predatory dinosaurs. Legends from the Yakima Indians in the northwestern United States talk about a giant ground-dwelling bird called Bach-anaho, which had a crooked beak and left 3-toe tracks similar to the terror bird. There have also been reported sightings of a large bird resembling what we just talked about in the Mount Adams region of Washington state, with the most recent sighting in 1975. In popular culture, terror birds have also been featured in different forms of media. The British TV show Primeval included terror birds as both enemies and heroes in its episode and spin-off series, Primeval New World. Also, a movie called Terror Birds was released in 2016, showing a town under attack by these ancient creatures that were brought back to life and escaped into the wild. Mapinguari. The Mapinguari is a mysterious creature from the Amazon region that has captured the interest and sparked debate among a lot of people. It's said to originate from Brazilian folklore, where it was believed to have been once a shaman who angered the gods and was turned into a hairy beast as punishment. The creature's origins are steeped in mysticism and are part of the mythology of the Amazon. Over time, descriptions of the Mapinguari have varied though, with some modern sightings linking it to a giant sloth and older accounts describing it as more ape-like. Some experts believe it could be a surviving species of giant ground sloths from the Ice Age. The Mapinguari is known for its overall foul odor though, which can render a person unconscious, and its unusual features such as a mouth in the middle of its stomach, one eye, long claws, caiman skin, backward feet, and a second mouth on its belly. Sightings of the Mapinguari have been reported all the way since the early 20th century, with some as recent as 2014 in countries like Brazil, Peru, and Venezuela, as well as possibly in Bolivia, Ecuador, and French Guiana. Witnesses have described the creature as a primate or a quadrupedal animal with caiman-like skin, long brown fur, and robust claws. It's said that the foul odor it emits is from its belly, and it stands on its hind legs when startled. Its behavior is pretty mysterious though, with reports suggesting it can walk on all fours or on 2 legs. It's also believed to be active during the night and at dawn, feeding on vegetation like bacaba and basal palms. Reports have linked the Mapinguari to attacks on livestock, which kinda indicates a potential migratory pattern that brings it closer to human settlements. Despite the fear surrounding the Mapinguari, there's still no really concrete evidence of its existence. Samples of hair and droppings collected for analysis have typically been identified as belonging to known animals like giant anteaters or small rodents, but yeah, it's said to resemble a prehistoric creature. Kongamado. The Kongamado is a mysterious creature similar to a pterosaur rumored to live in the warm regions of Africa, mainly in Zambia, the Congo, and Angola. Its name, which means destroyer of boats or capsizer of boats, comes from stories of it flipping canoes and attacking people near rivers. Described as a reddish lizard with wings made of thin skin and teeth in its mouth, the Kangamado is said to have a wingspan that ranges from 4 all the way to 100 feet. When locals were presented with images of pterosaurs, they supposedly recognized them as representations of the Kangamado, suggesting a strong resemblance between the cryptid and ancient pterosaurs as they saw it. This creature shares similarities too with other mythical flying beings around the globe, like the ropen of Papua New Guinea. Historic accounts by European travelers in Africa have mentioned confrontations with large winged creatures though, leading to injuries for the victims. It's believed that the Kangamado mainly feeds on fish, but has been accused of attacking humans and disturbing graves to eat dead bodies. Also, although recent sightings have been taking place in popular bird watching spots, bird enthusiasts have not observed anything unusual, which sparks some theories that the Kangamado sightings might be mistaken identities. One of the earliest known interactions with the Kangamado is from adventurer Frank Melland, who portrayed the creature in his book In Witchbound Africa from 1932. Ever since then, the Kangamado has been brought up in a lot of discussions about its existence, which might be a surviving type of pterosaur. Trilobite. Trilobites, which were ancient marine arthropods that existed during the Paleozoic era and disappeared from the fossil record about 251 million years ago during the Permian period, are of interest in both paleontology and cryptozoology. While there have been no recent sightings or scientific evidence of trilobites after the Permian period, some in the cryptozoological community are interested by the idea that they may have survived. The speculation about their potential presence today comes from the resemblance of seafloor trackways to Cruzinia, trace fossils usually associated with trilobite activity. Many people believe that surviving trilobites may still be living in the ocean's depths, eluding detection by modern science. In 1967, zoologist Roy P. Mackle of the University of Pittsburgh was told about these trackways and even considered trying to capture the creatures responsible for them. However, the project to uncover the mystery of these tracks never moved forward, and the identity of the track maker still remains unknown. Mackle himself believed that the chances of finding living trilobites were very slim. Some Cruziana trace fossils have been discovered though in freshwater and Triassic sediments, where trilobites are not typically found in the fossil record. This has led researchers to believe that these traces were made by other arthropods, not trilobites, which further decreases the likelihood of trilobites still existing today. Our answer tier 2, American lions. The idea of American lions involves numerous claims of lion-like creatures being spotted in regions that are not typically known to have such large felines, especially throughout the Americas. Although true lions have not been native to the Americas since ancient times, aside from the cougar or mountain lion because of their distinct classification, there have been consistent reports of lion or lion-like creatures that have sparked curiosity and investigation about their potential existence. The prehistoric lion of North America, scientifically referred to as Panthera leoatrox, is an important focal point in the conversation about American lions. This particular species, which was potentially a subspecies of the African lion, was considerably larger than present-day African lions and had a darker, potentially black coloring, as per some studies. The physical contrasts, such as the lack of manes in males and the unique black coloring, set the prehistoric lion apart from the usual lion appearance and corresponds more closely with sightings of large black panthers in the Americas. In South America, the intrigue intensifies with the jungle lion of Peru, described as having red fur and being frequently observed in the Llana Chaga National Park. These reports contribute to the assortment of lion-like creatures that have been reported in the continent, questioning the idea of their extinction or misinterpretation. Javanese wolf. The Javanese wolf, a species of prehistoric canine that lived in Java during the Pleistocene era around 800,000 to 300,000 years ago, is the focus of a fascinating story that combines paleontology with cryptozoology. Although the fossil records of this creature are incomplete, evidence suggests that the Javanese wolf was similar in appearance to large canines of the past and present, like the African wild dog and Xenoceon. Its large, powerful teeth and robust jaw structure indicate that the Megaceon may have been larger than modern wild dogs, which made it a really formidable predator for its time. Despite being confirmed as an ancient species, the Javanese wolf's connection to cryptozoology arises from recent sightings and reported attacks by mysterious canines, leading to debates about the possibility of its survival in modern times. In Malaysia, a tragic incident unfolded when a 46-year-old woman named S. Saraswati died from injuries sustained during a frightening encounter with a dog. The event occurred on December 29 as Saraswati and her son Vilachumi were riding a motorcycle home after visiting relatives. A dog suddenly began chasing them aggressively, causing Saraswati to lose control of the motorcycle, which resulted in a fall where she and her son were bitten by the dog, leaving them with severe leg injuries. Despite receiving initial medical treatment and being discharged with instructions for follow-up care, Saraswati's condition worsened, leading to her death from complications related to the attack. The local police chief, Subt Yusuf Awang, confirmed the incident and mentioned an ongoing investigation to determine if the attack was fatal. In Indonesia, another disturbing incident occurred when a neighborhood guard in Batam, an island off Sumatra, discovered the remains of a 50-year-old man named Andre Lemboga in his home. His skull was found in the kitchen with the rest of his body outside the house, which indicated a possible attack by the dogs. This grim scene puzzled the local community and raised questions about the aggressive nature of these canines. While these events don't really directly link to the Javanese wolf, they have renewed interest in legends of mysterious canines in Southeast Asia. The Javanese wolf, which is a creature from ancient times and believed to be extinct, plays a really key role in these contemporary encounters, suggesting that the tales of cryptid canines may have some factual basis. Mahamba. The Mahamba is a mystical creature believed to live in the murky waters of Lake Lukwala in the remote Congo rainforest. It's described as a huge crocodile-like animal and can grow up to 50 feet in length, surpassing the size of any known crocodile species that are alive today. Some speculate that the Mahamba may be a remnant of the Mosasaurus, the large sea-dwelling reptiles that became extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period. Local legends, mainly among the Bubangani people, depict the Mahamba as a terrifying predator capable of attacking and consuming rafts and canoes. Its appearance is so distinctive and frightening that it's often linked to the Nakoli, the local word for crocodile, though the Mahamba is believed to be significantly different and more formidable. There are even reports of the Mahamba attacking humans, which adds another layer of danger to its myth around there. Theories regarding the true nature of the Mahamba differ greatly though. Some propose that it could be an exceptionally large crocodile or maybe a completely new crocodilian species. Others speculate that it could be an ancient descendant of crocodilians like Deinosuchus or Sarcosuchus that somehow survived past mass extinctions. It's also suggested that the Mahamba might be an unknown aquatic reptile or a massive amphibian with crocodile-like traits, still concealed in the uncharted swamps of the Congo. Miramar Toxodon. The Miramar Toxodon originates from the coastal region of Miramar, Buenos Aires province in Argentina. In the period between 1912 and 1913, scientist Carlos Amguino made a significant discovery in late Pliocene sediment, thought to be around 2 million years old. He found stone tools next to a remarkable discovery, which was a stone arrow or spear point lodged in the femur of a toxodon. Toxodons were a type of large hoofed animals resembling horses or rhinos that once roamed South America and are believed to have gone extinct approximately 10,000 years ago. This finding raises some questions and challenges the traditional understanding about human history in South America and the timeline of the toxodon's existence. If the stone tool truly dates back to the same time as the toxodon remains, it would imply that humans lived in South America almost 2 million years earlier than currently believed. This would significantly change the timeline of human migration and settlement in the region. However, there's alternative interpretations for this unusual discovery. One possibility is that the artifacts of the toxodon femur were removed from later sediment layers, indicating that the connection of the tools with the fossil might be coincidental rather than the proof of coexistence. Another theory suggests that the arrows were inserted into the femur long after the toxodon had died, possibly by humans who came across the fossil remains hundreds of thousands of years later. In spite of these interpretations, the idea of a large, grazing toxodon surviving into the Holocene and becoming a target for early human hunters is an alluring possibility. Such a scenario would not only offer proof of human presence in South America much earlier, but also propose that the toxodons lived alongside humans, possibly enduring much longer than previously thought. Karoo monster. In 1946, there were reports from the Karoo, a large semi-desert region in South Africa, of sightings of a huge reptile measuring up to 3 meters long. These reports captured the interest of the public and also the media, which was largely because of Karoo's reputation as a place where many fossil discoveries, mainly from the Permian era, have been made. At first, there was speculation that the creature might be a living Permian therapsid, a type of prehistoric reptile that resembled mammals and existed millions of years ago before becoming extinct. This speculation was influenced by the area's history of paleontology, which was known for being one of the best places in the world for finding Permian fossils. Bernard Heuvelmans and other experts, however, have proposed a more plausible theory, suggesting that the Karoo monster could have been a giant monitor lizard instead of a remnant from the Permian era. This interpretation is more in line with the region's known natural history and current diversity of species. The idea of a Permian therapsid surviving in the modern-day Karoo is seen more as a curious historical concept rather than a realistic hypothesis today. Also, Bruce Champagne, another figure in the field of cryptozoology, has interestingly classified some of his sea serpent groupings, like a giant turtle type, as reptiles that resemble mammals. This unconventional classification indicates a continued interest in the idea of ancient reptiles living into modern times in remote areas of the world. The concept of the Karoo monster being a direct descendant of Permian therapsids like Dinophali, remaining hidden for millions of years to appear in the last 250 million years, does really trigger our imagination though. It links the fossil evidence with speculative ideas in cryptozoology. Karkadan. The Karkadan, a mythical creature believed to wander the grasslands and deserts of Persia and North Africa, has some unique qualities and an overall mysterious presence. Initially mentioned in ancient texts dating back to the 10th or 11th century, the Karkadan has been compared to the Persian equivalent of the unicorn. Abu Rayyan al-Biruni, a Persian scholar from the 10th century, provides one of the earliest portrayals of this beast. He describes the Karkadan as a creature resembling a buffalo covered in black scales, sporting a dewlap under its chin, 3 yellow hooves per foot, and most notably, a single horn on its nose that curls upwards. This horn, described as longer than a hand's width and cone-shaped, in addition to its donkey-like ears and unique upper lip, suggests that the Indian rhinoceros is a possible source for such descriptions. By the 13th century, Persian physician Zakaria al-Qazwini expanded on the creature's legend, linking medicinal powers to its horn, like treating epilepsy and alleviating constipation. In the 14th century, famed explorer Ibn Battuta described the Karkadan as a formidable creature capable of frightening even elephants, aligning with narratives in 1001 Nights, specifically in Sinbad the Sailor's second voyage. And another description diverges a lot from earlier accounts, proposing that the creature resembles a bull with wolf-like attributes and 2 horns, departing from the singular horn tradition. This illustration raises inquiries about the true nature and origins of the creature. The unearthing of fossils attributed to Alismotherium, a colossal rhinoceros-like creature that once lived in eastern China and southern Russia, poses a really interesting question about the Karkadan myth. Reaching heights of 6 to 7 feet with a 6-foot horn, Elasmotherium's resemblance to historical depictions of the Karkadan leads some to speculate that this ancient behemoth could be the actual inspiration for the legend. Despite being thought to have become extinct 1.6 million years ago, accounts recorded by Ibn Battuta hint at the possibility that the Elasmotherium or a similar creature might have survived into more recent times. Mehirung Baringmal. In the expansive landscapes of Australia, a country that has a lot of ancient stories and mysteries, the Mehirung Baringmal is an interesting figure. This creature, which is said to be a large, flightless bird larger than even the modern emu, has been featured in Aboriginal myths as well as rock paintings in Cape York, Queensland, and even some rock carvings in New South Wales. These representations hint at a time when enormous birds coexisted with humans, with Aboriginal legends telling of their existence during volcanic eruptions in the western district of Victoria around 3000 to 2000 BC. The theories surrounding this creature are based on the paleontological evidence on Australia, which indicates possible links to 2 ancient birds identified through fossil records. One theory suggests a connection to Geniornis newtoni, a bird which was related to ducks and geese and stood at about 6 feet 7 inches tall. This bird, which was known from intact skeletons discovered near Lake Halabana in South Australia, is believed to have survived until at least 26,000 years ago, and sort of aligns with the time frame of human memory and adds to the lore surrounding the creature. Another hypothesis proposes that the Aboriginal tales might recount interactions with Dromornis sertoni, one of the largest flightless birds to have ever existed. Fossils found in the Northern Territory indicate that this bird lived from the late Miocene to the Pleistocene, spanning about 15 million to 30,000 years ago. Weighing about 1,300 pounds and standing at 9 feet tall, Dromornis sertoni's impressive size and attributes makes it a plausible source for the origins of the Mehrung Paringmal legend. Our on to tier 3 now, Tully Monstrum. The Tully Monstrum, commonly known as the Tully Monster, is a mysterious and fascinating fossil in paleontology, first found in the Mazon Creek fossil beds in Illinois. It lived around 300 million years ago during the Pennsylvanian period, a time when vast coastal swamps and deltas dominated the landscapes of what is now the eastern and midwestern United States and parts of Europe. This unusual creature, which resembles a soft-bodied jawless fish, has interested scientists and the general public because of its unique anatomy and uncertain placement in the evolutionary tree. With two large eyes on stalks, a claw-like mouth at the end of a proboscis, two significant posterior films, and a broad fin-like tail, the Tully Monstrum has sparked theories connecting it to various mysterious and legendary creatures from our past. Some researchers suggest that it might have survived into modern times, lurking in lakes and rivers and occasionally startling people. They propose that its proboscis could be mistaken for a plesiosaur's long neck, which is a common feature in eyewitness reports of lake monsters. Investigation into its identity have even tied it to ancient European tales of dragons and other mythical beings, which aren't too plausible. Ted Haldane, a well-known investigator of the Loch Ness Monster, considered the possibility that such creatures could be remnants of Tully monstrums, proposing that centuries-old dragon legends in Europe could have also originated from encounters with this ancient creature. Despite its association with legendary creatures though, recent scientific research has revised our understanding of Tully monstrum's place in the animal kingdom. Originally classified as an invertebrate, subsequent studies have instead redefined it as a vertebrate closely related to lampreys. This classification puts the Tully monstrum in a more familiar context of vertebrate evolution, although it doesn't really diminish its appeal as a prehistoric curiosity. Ogagwe. The Ogagwe, also known as the Kaukandakari or Kilomba in Zimbabwe and Congo, is a prominent figure in the folklore of East Africa. It's said to reside in the forests and jungles of Tanzania and Zaire, and has been part of local legends since the early 20th century. Captain William Hitchens first brought attention to the Ogagwe in 1900, with his encounter detailed in a Discovery magazine issue 37 years later. Described as a small, hairy humanoid, the Ogagwe is usually around 1 to 1.7 meters in height and has human-like features along with unique traits like long arms, rusty-colored hair, and yellowish-red skin. Sometimes it's said to have a copper hue too. The creature has small feet about 12 centimeters long, and its physical features distinguish it from modern chimpanzees. It also has a round forehead, small and sharp teeth, and distinct hair and skin colors. Captain William Hitchens encountered the Ogagwe in 1900 while traveling through the Usher and Simbit forests in Tanzania's Wembe Plains. He saw two small, brown, furry creatures that looked like little men, as quoted, around 4 feet tall in a forest clearing. Another account by British officer Cuthbert Barugny in 1927, published in Discovery magazine, described similar beings interacting with baboons, which hints at a potentially unknown species or prehistoric animal. In the late 1950s, animal collector Charles Cordier even reported a run-in with an Ogagwe in Zaire, which actually escaped from his trap. Some theories suggest that the Ogagwe could be a surviving Australopithecine species, which was a primitive human ancestor from around 2.5 million years ago. Nguma monene. The Nguma monene is a cryptid believed to live in the dense, isolated rainforests of Central Africa, mainly in the Congo Basin. According to rumors, it's a huge serpent-like reptile that has intrigued cryptozoologists and adventurers for a long time, with reported sightings suggesting a creature of a really large size and mysterious behaviors. Described as having a long body that can reach up to 50 feet in length and a diameter of 2 to 3 feet, the Nguma monene is thought to have a grayish-brown color. Its head and neck resemble that of a snake, complete with a split tongue, while its body has a serrated ridge along its back, and hints at a possible ancient origin. Because of its short legs and amphibious qualities, the creature can swiftly navigate through swamps, where it's said to hunt birds and monkeys. The name Nguma Monene comes from the Lingala language, meaning large boa. Accounts of the Nguma Monene by eyewitnesses are scarce but really interesting. The most notable sightings occurred near the Donga Mataba River, a tributary of the Ubangi River in the Republic of the Congo. In 1961 and again in 1971, individuals claimed to have encountered this gigantic reptile, with witness Joseph Ellis estimating a visible part of its tail to be about 32 feet long. Ellis' story is noteworthy as it highlights the creature's considerable size and camouflage in its swampy habitat, although the head and neck were not seen during the encounter. These sightings captured the attention of Roy P. Mako, who was a biologist from the University of Chicago, and organized expeditions to the Kuala swamps in search of the elusive Mokele Mbembe, which is another reported cryptid of the area. Mako suggested that the Nguma Monene's physical traits, notably its body shape and serrated back, point to it being more lizard-like than snake-like. The identity of the Nguma Monene has also sparked various theories, with some suggesting it could be a surviving dinosaur like a Spinosaurid, which were large carnivorous dinosaurs resembling crocodiles and adapted to aquatic life. Others propose it might even resemble a synapsid such as Dimetrodon, which was an early mammalian ancestor known for its unique sail. A more conservative view, though, suggests that the Nguma Monene could be an unidentified species of large marta lizard, which is sort of a plausible explanation for a lot of these. Patrick Creek Monster. There have been several reports of a mysterious creature known as the Patrick Creek Monster in the Yukon, Canada. Some believe it could be a surviving dinosaur like a theropod based on a story by French writer Georges Dupuy in 1908. The narrative tells of sightings in 1903 and 1907, describing the creature as resembling a medium-sized dinosaur. Despite doubts about the authenticity of the story, it sparked interest and led to similar reports all the way in Siberia and even Alaska. Indigenous communities in Canada have stories about a Medicine Valley in the Yukon, where large monsters lived, with tales passed down through generations, describing encounters with dinosaur-like creatures. In 1903, hunters James Lewis Butler and Tom Leemore found large tracks near Clear Creek, and later witnessed the creature up close with Dupuy, Father Pierre Lavenouge, and others. Lavenue also reported seeing the creature carrying a dead caribou in 1907. Plans for a hunting expedition by the Duke of Westminster were cancelled because of World War I, and leaves the mystery kinda unresolved. But reports from the Soviet Union in the 1920s hinted at similar dinosaurs on the Kamchatka Peninsula, although these claims were not confirmed. The Patrick Creek Monster was said to have ceratosaurid features, a horn on its snout, a 50-foot body length, and hairy hide, which challenges traditional views of dinosaur appearance, but aligns with more recent discoveries of feathered dinosaurs. Doubts about the creature's existence stems from concerns about the habitat's sustainability for a large reptile and the unlikelihood of a dinosaur surviving undetected in the modern era. While some, like Stephen R. Bissett, think the story is made up, others view it as, a cryptid that might be out there. Onza. The Onza is a cryptid believed to inhabit the mountains of northwestern Mexico, with reported sightings dating back to the time of the Spanish conquest of Aztec Mexico in 1519. It was even said to have been kept in Emperor Montezuma's zoo, known as Cuitlamitzel by the Aztecs. Resembling a feline similar to a cougar, the Onza has caused debates about its actual classification, with some experts proposing it could be a jaguarundi, a species which is related to cougars. The most well-known encounters with the Onza took place in 1938 and 1986, when animals resembling cougars were shot in Sinaloa and later identified as Onzas. The 1986 case in particular involved rancher Andres Murillo, who mistakenly shot the animal thinking it was a jaguar, only to realize its distinctive features. It weighed about 60 pounds and was about 45 inches long with a 23-inch tail, and had a physique resembling a cougar but with long, thin legs and a longer tail. Its diet consisted of deer based on its stomach contents, and physical distinctions between the Onza and cougars include a lighter build, longer striped legs, elongated ears, and a tail. Research by Texas Tech University in the 1990s on a frozen Onza corpse suggested it could be a genetic variation of the cougar rather than a separate species, which was backed by DNA testing showing no major genetic differences from cougars. The onza has also been associated with the American cheetah, a distinct big cat closely related to pumas instead of marten cheetahs, which died out around 10,000 years ago. Some cryptozoologists even hypothesize the existence of two Mirasanic species in Mexico, often calling one the onza and the other by local names. This theory raises an interesting possibility of ancient American felines surviving or being misidentified. Our answer tier 4, bear dogs. Bear dogs were a group of carnivorous mammals that looked like a mix of bears and dogs, but they weren't directly related to either bears or dogs. They shared characteristics with both, which placed them in a unique category within the suborder Caniformia. The size and shape of these creatures varied across different species though, with the most recent fossils found in the New World dating back around 2 million years ago, and in the Old World around 10,000 years ago. Even though bear dogs are extinct, there have been legends and sightings suggesting they may still exist in remote areas, like icy valleys between Canada and Alaska. The wahila is a cryptid similar to a huge wolf, but more like bear dogs, reported in Native American legends from places like Nahanni Valley, also known as Headless Valley, because of mysterious bodies found there without heads. Non-indigenous accounts describe the wahila as bigger than a wolf, with a strong bear-like body and long pure white fur. It has distinct features from wolf like a wider head, heavier build, shorter legs compared to its body, smaller ears, and toes that are more spread out. One sighting by a mechanic described it as a wolf on steroids, estimating its height at 3.5 feet at the shoulder, larger than the biggest known wolves. Also, the wahila prefers to be alone and likes extremely cold, isolated northern areas, which kinda adds to its mysterious reputation. These traits, combined with the living in one of the least explored regions, suggest that there might be a small chance that a remaining population of bear dogs still exists today. Local tribes and legends in Nahanni Valley also speak of evil spirits, with tales connecting the headless bodies not only to the wahila but also to Sasquatch-like monsters and even werewolf beliefs. An episode of a show called Mountain Monsters documented a search for the creature called the bear beast in Ray Lake County, West Virginia, believed to be a mix of a grizzly bear and a canine, despite the only native bear species in the state being black bears. Buffalo lion. The buffalo lion, which originates from East Africa, is known as a large lion without a mane that is infamous for preying on humans and buffaloes. Unlike typical African lions that live in prides, buffalo lions are known to be solitary animals. There are rumors that they often hunt humans, which has led to speculation about whether they're a new subspecies of African lion, a completely new species, or a group of maneless lions with a particularly aggressive attitude towards humans. Because of their lack of mane, it's suggested that buffalo lions may be genetically different from the usual lions found in Africa, potentially making them a new subspecies. However, some experts in cryptozoology suggest a more interesting idea, that they could be a surviving member of the extinct cave lions, which would explain their size and lack of mane. Despite these theories, confirming the exact classification of buffalo lions has been difficult, as no body has been thoroughly examined. The idea of maneless lions is not entirely new in the area though. Historical reports such as Swasso Man-Eaters of 1898 mention two maneless male lions that were responsible for the deaths of numerous workers on the Kenya-Uganda Railway. These lions were exceptionally large, with one measuring 9 feet 8 inches long and the other 9 feet 6 inches long. Their skins and skulls are currently displayed at the Field Museum of Natural History in Chicago. In a similar incident in 1991, in Mifui, another large maneless male lion was killed after attacking people. This specimen is also exhibited in the same museum to display its actual size, although specific measurements are difficult to come by. These historical man-eaters may suggest that the buffalo lion could have been inspired by true accounts of maneless lions, or that the infamous man-eaters themselves were actually buffalo lions, but were not identified as such at that time. Glacier Island Carcass. The Glacier Island Carcass is a discovery made on Glacier Island in Alaska, where explorers reported finding the remains of a huge creature frozen in ice. This finding attracted attention in historical records and was even mentioned in Charles Fort's writings. The creature was described as covered in fur with reptilian characteristics, and it measured an impressive 42 feet long. Early descriptions indicate a head of 6 feet, a body of 20 feet, and a tail of 16 feet, making it unlike any known wildlife in the area. The carcass was so well preserved because of the Arctic conditions too. Initially, observers believed they had come across a prehistoric monster preserved in the upper reaches of the Columbia Glacier. This discovery sparked both excitement and doubt, prompting W.H. MacDonald, the Chugach National Forest supervisor, to lead a 6-man expedition to uncover the truth behind the find. Upon investigation, MacDonald and his team took detailed measurements, noting that the creature had a head similar to an elephant, almost 5 feet long, with a trunk-like snout. The carcass was also 24 feet long, with a 14-foot tail starting at the rib section, and it weighed around 1,000 pounds. The creature's flesh was also likened to that of a horse, and it had fur-colored skin, a trunk-like extension, and an elephant-like skull, causing some to speculate that it might be a woolly mammoth. However, discrepancies in reports such as mentions of a completely reptilian body or a body without a clear head have led to debates about the creature's true identity. Some have compared it to other mysterious carcasses like Trunco and Hodei's monster, implying a possible connection to marine creatures with trunk-like extensions, which goes against the mastodon theory. MacDonald suggested that the creature was not originally from Glacier Island, but had been trapped in the Columbia Glacier and eventually carried to sea, where it ended up on the island. This theory, however, was never actually confirmed, as the carcass disappeared back into the sea shortly after being found, eliminating any opportunity for scientific analysis or definitive investigation. Cuachaíd. The mystical creature known as Cuachaíd in Scottish folklore is also mentioned in Irish folklore as well, and is similar to the Welsh Cuain Anand. It's believed to live in the rock crevices and wander the moors of the Scottish Highlands. Traditionally portrayed as having a dark green shaggy coat, the Cuachaíd is said to have the size of a small cow, making it a notable figure in the stories in which it is featured. One of the most unsettling aspects of the Cuachaíd legend is its method of hunting, which involves silently stalking followed by 3 frightful barks that can be heard over great distances, including out at sea. Folklore warns that upon hearing the first bark, individuals should seek shelter right away before the third bark, as failure to do so could lead to overwhelming terror and potential death. The origins of the Cuachaíd are still the subject of speculation though, with one theory proposing that it may have descended from ancient ungulates, which resembled modern cows and horses. Dominic Sudoku. During the 1850s in Fredericksburg, Texas, Abbe Emmanuel Dominic documented the appearance of a cryptid known as Dominic Sudoku, or the rosed-horned clawed goat. This unique creature stood out because of its distinct features that set it apart from any known animals. It was described as the size of a cat but resembling a goat, with a beautiful silky white coat that resembled high-quality silk and was snow white in color. What made this animal really striking though were its claws instead of hooves, and its rare rose-colored horns, which made it a really interesting sight for anyone who encountered it. The cryptid was actually in possession of a Comanche woman who brought it to Fredericksburg. An officer was so captivated by the creature that he offered 500 francs to buy it, and the commandant's wife even suggested trading a valuable diamond for it. Despite these offers, the Comanche woman refused to part with the animal, meaning it was probably a pet since she probably had some deep emotional connection to it. This decision to keep the pseudo goat only added to the mystery though surrounding its origins and characteristics, and led to some speculation from cryptozoologists. Some experts suggested that it could be descended from Chalicotheres, ancient creatures that shared similarities with the described cryptid. Others proposed that it may be a surviving notungulate or a unique species of bovine. The presence of a sagittal crest, similar to those seen in some apes like gorillas, in the descriptions further added to the mystery of the pseudogoat, with its clawed paws and rose-colored horns remaining distinctive features that defied easy classification even today. Alright, Tier 5, Beast of Boonville. In 1936 and 1937, there were sightings in Boonville, Indiana of a strange creature known as the Beast of Boonville, and some people believed it could be a giant sloth. The Beast of Boonville, which was rumored to have come from Mexico, was first seen by fisherman Ralph Duff, who witnessed it brutally attacking his dog. His wife also saw the creature and described it as a huge hairy animal bigger than a bear, which ran away when she screamed. Initially, Ralph Duff thought it might be an ape and tried to catch it by setting up traps along the river. The following year, Mrs. Duff saw the animal again and compared it to a giant ape. This led to a local community hearing strange screams and cries, prompting organized search parties. The situation even got worse when a police dog was reportedly badly injured by the beast and had to be put down. The mystery surrounding the beast of Boonville became even weirder though when a person claimed it was actually a giant sloth on August 18th. He told the Boonville newspaper that he and his uncle had captured the sloth in Mexico 2 years earlier but lost it near Evansville. He wasn't sure if the sloth had 2 or 3 toes, but said that sloths could vary in that regard. There are also rumors about a circus truck seen in the area around the same time, implying that it might have even potentially escaped. However, the search was called off on August 19th, and doubts began to surface. By September, a letter to the Republic suggested that the whole story may have been made up by local farmers to scare off berry pickers. Slothfoot. Slothfoot is a creature that has been reported throughout North America, with sightings reported from Canada to Mexico. First documented sightings of Slothfoot date back to the 1930s, with one of the most prominent incidents occurring in Boonville, Indiana. In 1936, a fisherman named Ralph Duff claimed to have encountered a large hairy beast that had killed his dog. His wife also witnessed the creature too, describing it as a towering monster larger than a bear, initially mistaking it for a giant ape. Following this encounter, organized searches were conducted, with witnesses reporting blood-curdling screams and even a police dog being attacked. An interesting claim emerged suggesting that the creature was actually a giant sloth that had wandered from its habitat near Evansville, having been previously captured during an expedition in Mexico. In Micmac Indian folklore from Nova Scotia, Canada, there are tales of giant squirrels too that destroyed wigwams by consuming bark, which some speculate may refer to ground sloths based on their diet and distinctive tails. This suggests that such creatures may have survived into the region until relatively recent times. In the 1960s, reports even emerged of the Beast of Sherman in New York, described as large white-furred creatures resembling prehistoric sloths. Similarly, the Yukon beaver eater reported in 1989 from Canada was said to match the description of a giant ground sloth. Further reports from Georgia and Kentucky between 2002 and 2011 describe sightings of a ground sloth, with witnesses noting a large and fast-moving animal that resembled a sloth and challenged the common belief that these creatures are slow and lazy, which raises some cool questions. And another thing to add, there was a notable sighting in Virginia in 2013, which was captured on a trail camera by hunter Roger Williams, and showed what seemed to be a juvenile bear or Sasquatch, but some suggested it could be a ground sloth because of its long tail and unique movements, and caused some reevaluation of conventional beliefs of local wildlife. Tennessee Cave Creature. In 2009, there was an interesting incident in Hamlin County, Tennessee, that sparked conversations about ancient creatures and Cherokee folklore. A woman named Leslie came across a peculiar creature in a cave, which was described as a dwarf Bigfoot or Slothfoot, with unique characteristics. The creature was approximately 4 feet in length, had a hairless face with white skin and human-like features, a body covered in brown fur, short legs, heavy paws with flattened claws, and was capable of climbing cave walls and remaining still. Leslie believed that could be related to Bigfoot, but smaller in size. This sighting, just like our previous entry, suggested that this could have been the ancient ground sloth. The description of the creature included a 3-toed paw, which reminded people of both 2-toed and 3-toed sloths, despite their naming confusion. The extinct melonic, which was closely related to 2-toed sloths and once lived in the area during the Pleistocene era, was used as a reference in these speculations. And another thing that adds to the sort of complexity of the story, Leslie, who is a documented member of the Ibai tribe and the founder of the Back Creek Stone at the Museum of the Cherokee Indian, connected the creature to Cherokee mythology. The legendary figure Spearfinger or Yulenta was known for her stone-like skin and deadly sharp fingers or claws, and was believed to live in eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina. Her skin, which resembled the osteoderms found in melodontid ground sloths, provided protection similar to chainmail. This folklore, mixed with the area's geography and cultural history, adds an interesting dimension to the mysterious sighting in Hamlin County. Hugag. In North American lumberjack folklore from the 19th and early 20th centuries, the hugag is a strange creature that has been documented in the dense forests of lake states like western Wisconsin, northern Minnesota, and parts of Canada near Hudson Bay. The creature was first introduced by William T. Cox in his 1910 book, fearsome creatures of the lumberwoods. The hugag is said to resemble a moose but with some notable features, such as having non-jointed legs that prevent it from lying down. Instead, the hugag must stand continuously. It also has a long upper lip that makes it difficult for it to graze, so it feeds by stripping bark and twigs from trees. The description of the hugag mention its leathery, hairless head and neck, drooping cerated ears, four-toed feet, long bushy tail, and shaggy coat, giving it a prehistoric appearance. In 1936, a hugag was reportedly found stuck in mud and subsequently killed in Turtle River, northern Minnesota. The overall sightings have led to different theories about the hugag's origins, with some speculating that it could be a surviving member of prehistoric fauna like the North American ground sloth, based on its physical features and unusual diet. But yeah, a lot of these are related to the North American ground sloth, which is pretty interesting. Kumi lizard. The Kumi lizard is a creature that has been sighted in New Zealand and is said to resemble the extinct Megalania, a large marter lizard. Unlike the Megalania though, which lived on the ground, the Kumi lizard is said to live in trees. Captain James Cook, during his encounters with the Maori in Queen Charlotte Sound, mentioned the large tree-dwelling reptiles that were feared in the surrounding bushlands. In 1998, a Maori bushman reported seeing a 1.5 meter long Kumi lizard. That same year, a carcass believed to be that of a Kumi lizard washed ashore along with the bones thought to belong to the creature. However, sightings of the Kumi lizard became rare after the early 20th century. The most recent documented encounters with the creature date back to 1898, with reports of a large reptile near Gisborne and a frightening encounter between a bushman and a massive marter lizard in Arohana. Although the Kumi lizard has not been directly observed in recent times, there have been photographs of footprints that are believed to belong to the mysterious creature. Some experts speculate that the Kumi lizard could possibly be a crocodile martyr, which is a known species that can grow to large sizes and lives in trees. Alright, on to the last tier now, tier 6, Khair beast. The Khair beast is a mysterious creature said to live in Lake Khair in Yakutia, northwestern Russia. It first gained attention in November 1964 when G. Rokosuev described a strange creature with a serpentine head and a prominent fan on its back in the lake. Another sighting in 1964 by Anne Gladkick provided more details, describing a large animal about 4 or 4.5 meters long with a long neck, a small, flat, snake-like head, a large dorsal fin, and smooth dark blue skin. The creature appeared to be grazing and made eye contact with Gladkick before he ran away in fear. Some believe the Khair beast resembles a plesiosaur because of its physical features, although others see similarities to Ouranosaurus. An expedition in 1965 tried to find evidence of the beast but came back empty-handed, despite reports from locals in Khair settlements of unusually large pikes in the lake and claims that birds and typical lake creatures avoided the area. The truth of the Khair beast legends was cast in doubt when Ant Gladkick confessed that his story was made up. However, G. Rokosuev stood by his account, leaving the status of the Khair beast still uncertain. Ichisanga. The Ichisanga, a creature from Zambian folklore, is well known among the Lambas and is commonly linked to the Kafu River and the surrounding rainforests and swamps. This mysterious animal, identified as a plant-eater water creature, resembles a rhinoceros, complete with a single horn on its forehead. Despite its diet of grass and leaves, the Ichisanga is feared by locals for its aggressive behavior, especially towards hippos and sometimes even humans. The Ichisanga is particularly aggressive when encountering hippos, attacking them to defend its territory. This aggressive behavior highlights its territorial nature and contributes to the fear it evokes in the community. The true nature of the Ichisanga, though, is a topic of speculation, with some suggesting it could be a living dinosaur, resembling creatures like Centrosaurus in appearance and behavior. Others propose it might be a unique type of rhinoceros or an unidentified mammal. The Ichisanga shares similarities with other cryptids too from Central Africa, such as Emlyn-Natuka and Chipekwe, all described as large, horned, semi-aquatic beings, which adds to the mystery of the legend. Ruby Valley Beasts. The Ruby Valley Beasts, also known as the Ruby Valley Slothmen, are mysterious cryptids that have been sighted in the Ruby Valley area of northern Nevada. There's some limited information available though about these creatures, mainly stemming from a post made in 2013 by a user named EZ on the X board of 4chan. According to EZ, they came across large sloth-like beings in the region and may have injured one or more of them before having to run away. The description given implies that these creatures could bear a resemblance to ground sloths, which is intriguing since ground sloths are considered extinct. However, because the story is based on a post on an internet forum, the authenticity of the Ruby Valley beasts and their existence is highly doubtful. The idea of finding a living relic like a ground sloth in modern times has interest enthusiasts of cryptids and generated interest in the account though. The idea of finding a living relic like a ground sloth in modern times though has interest enthusiasts of cryptids and generated overall interest in the account. Following the original post, users from the K and X boards of 4chan showed interest in investigating the location mentioned by EZ in order to collect evidence or validate the claims. Unfortunately though, there's been no further information or results from these investigations shared or documented on the forum, which adds to the mystery surrounding the Ruby Valley beasts. Given that the story of the Ruby Valley beasts originated on an online message board and lacks supporting evidence or additional sightings, it's natural for skepticism to be present. Old Greenie. The story of Old Greenie, a mysterious being living in Cayuga Lake, New York, has interest and frightened locals since the 1800s. Things took a dramatic turn on January 5, 1897, when the Ithaca Journal reported that staff were reluctant to go near the lake because of fear of encountering the creature. An interesting account in the article recounted a resident of Ithaca's sighting along the lake's eastern shore. The observer and a friend claimed to have seen a large, snake-like creature, a belief supported by a wanderer who also said they had spotted the entity. This wanderer later shared the story with a reporter from the journal, adding to its growing belief in Old Greenie's presence in Cayuga Lake. The sightings became even more detailed and frequent as time passed though. By 1929, the journal was reporting not just the isolated sightings, but the existence of two large sea monsters in the lake, estimated to be between 12 to 15 feet long. There are speculations that these creatures may have come from Seneca Lake's population of serpents, potentially migrating through an underground passage, but this theory has since been disproven by scientific studies. A particularly concerning account occurred in 1974 when a young man named Stephen Griffin claimed to have been attacked by Old Greenie. Griffin described the creature as resembling an eel with incredibly strong jaws that caused him serious harm, breaking his arm with his bite. Another memorable encounter took place in 1979 involving Jack Marshall, a professional diver, and his friends. They initially mistook the creature for a large log while boating on Cayuga Lake, only to realize it was a living being, about 30 to 35 feet long, which then disappeared underwater, leaving them amazed and stunned. Yukon Beaver Eater. The Yukon Beaver Eater, also known as Saito Ichin, comes from the oral traditions from the Canadian First Nations. It's said to be larger than even the biggest grizzly bear and gets its name from the unique hunting technique of flipping up beaver lodges to catch the beavers inside. Apparently, natives saw illustrations of ancient animals and thought the ground sloth resembled their legendary beaver eater. In 1989, Don Charlie shared a story with the British Columbia Scientific Cryptozoology Club about Violet Johnny encountering a creature at Tachkan Lake while fishing with her family. This beast, which standed at 8 or 9 feet tall, was identified as a Saito Ichin and caused panic among the family, who fired shots over its head before leaving quickly. There are reports of a white man shooting one near Lake 2, hinting that the beaver eaters live in the mountainous area east of Frenchman Lake. Connecting the beaver eater to the giant ground sloth raises some questions about adaptation and survival though. Although giant ground sloths were plant eaters that went extinct along with North America's large animals, some suggest a species could have evolved into a beaver eater. There are also theories about unusually large grizzly bears, the survival of Arcada simus, or a giant beaver from the Castoroids genus. A paper from 1996 suggested some giant ground sloths could have been omnivores, challenging previous beliefs about their diet. This idea proposes the existence of a meat-eating sloth that filled an ecological niche before extinction. On the other hand though, some believe Saito Ichin might primarily consume beaver lodges rather than the beavers themselves, offering a less dramatic but still interesting explanation for its diet.
South American dinosaurs. South American dinosaurs, ranging from massive sauropods to theropods and mysterious pterosaurs, are said to have the possibility of prehistoric survival in the modern era. A significant figure in this context is the British archaeologist and explorer Percy Fawcett, known for his daring expeditions into the South American jungles. Despite facing numerous dangers including hostile terrain and wildlife, Fawcett was driven by tales and manuscripts he encountered early in his explorations in South America, which led him to believe in the existence of a lost city filled with gold, which he dubbed Z. His explorations also led him to believe in the presence of prehistoric creatures living in the area, drawing on reports and his own experiences such as citing what he believed could be a diplodocus in the Beni swamps of Madre de Dios. Fawcett's tales of encountering inexplicable tracks and creatures fueled speculation and interest in these cryptids. Fawcett's most famous expedition occurred in 1925 though, when he, along with his son Jack and friend Rayleigh Rimmel, ventured into unknown territories in Brazil in search of Z. After their initial communication, they mysteriously disappeared, sparking numerous theories and search missions to uncover their fate. Despite various efforts, their end still remains a mystery, with people saying they might have met fatal encounters with indigenous tribes or just succumbed to the jungle's harshness. The fascination with South American dinosaurs is not just isolated to Fawcett's adventures though. Other reports and discussions continue to add to the stories of these cryptids, with enthusiasts and researchers debating their existence and sharing findings. Barhai. The Barhai is a cryptid reported from the dense forest rivers of Liberia, mostly within the expanses of Lofa County and along the secluded stretches of the Kahai River. This mysterious creature has sparked interest and fear among the local people, who describe it as a great amphibious reptile that shares features of both crocodiles and monster lizards, which kinda reminds you of the Postosuchus of prehistoric times, which was an apex predator. And its legend has had such an impact on local culture that adventurers and researchers from around the globe have been interested in whether this creature is actually out there. John Mark Shepard, an American aid worker and missionary, was among the first to bring widespread attention to the Barhai, compiling first-hand accounts from the locals who revered and feared this beast in equal measure. These accounts were forwarded to well-known cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman in December 2007, shedding light on a creature that, until then, had remained largely obscured from the broader cryptozoology discourse. The locals' testimonies painted a picture of a creature that, despite its monstrous reputation, was just part of their everyday reality. Remarkably, some fishermen even claimed that they had managed to catch and kill Barhai. According to these accounts, the fishermen would entangle the massive reptile in nets before hitting them with shotgun blasts. The meat of the Barhai, it was said, would then find its way into local markets, where it was sold as a rare delicacy. In 2016, the Barhai's mystery deepened even further when cinematographer Paul Mungem embarked on a journey to Lofa County for his program Expedition Mungo. His investigation revealed a community living in the shadow of the Barhai, where even seasoned fishermen dared not to venture into certain tributaries of the Kahai River, fearing an encounter with this apex predator. And Mungem even confirmed that the locals didn't add any supernatural qualities to the Barhai, viewing it instead as an actual natural inhabitant of their environment. Eyewitness accounts of the Barhai are both fascinating and horrifying too. Some tell of narrow escapes from this riverine terror, while others recount tragic tales of lives lost to its appetite, which includes humans as prey. It's said to drag its victims underwater, drowning them before dragging their carcasses to the riverbank to feast. South Carolina Thunderbird. In South Carolina, there have been several interesting reports of a cryptid known as the Thunderbird, a creature that resembles descriptions more of pterosaurs than any bird known to modern science. The legend of the Thunderbird originates from Native American folklore, mostly among the Santee people of South Carolina. These narratives describe the Thunderbird as a powerful and mysterious creature, often associated with thunderstorms and regarded as a carrier of immense power. Such descriptions have endured through generations too, suggesting that the Thunderbird isn't just something of imagination, but a creature that has been observed across different epochs. One of the most notable modern sightings occurred in the summer of 2004, when a couple driving towards Myrtle Beach reported hearing loud, unusual flapping sounds, like a large fabric being violently whipped by the wind. Their encounter escalated when they observed a large pterodactyl-like creature pursuing their car, leaving a weird snotty residue on the vehicle's window. This creature was described as having white skin, which typical birds or bats don't really have. Another incident from 2013, a report surfaced detailing an encounter with a similar creature that leather-like wings and eyes of an almost orange-reddish hue. This sighting, along with others, has been consistent in describing the creature's great wingspan and its terrifying swooping approach towards witnesses. Going back even further though, a 1989 sighting by Susan Wooden between Greenville and Florence, South Carolina, described the Thunderbird as having a wingspan of 12 to 15 feet, leathery wings, a distinct head appendage, and a long tail that set it apart from any known bird species. This encounter took place in broad daylight too, which lended some more credibility to the detailed physical attributes reported. Solomon Islands Dragon Snake. In the Solomon Islands, the dragon snake is a cryptid which locals say looks like a dragon or living dinosaur and has been the center of numerous stories, mostly because of its aggressive behavior towards humans. One night, a fisherman had a close encounter that he'd never forget. While out on the water in his small fiberglass boat at 3 a.m., he saw the dragon snake flying nearby. Curious, he shone his torch at it, which seemed to provoke the creature. It flew straight at him and hovered above his boat. Panicked, the man tried to escape, steering his boat back to the shore with the dragon snake following closely. During this chase, the creature attacked, firing something like a ball of light at him, which partly missed but still scorched the inside of his boat. Once on shore, the fisherman ran into the bushes, but the dragon snake still pursued him, even mimicking his movements around a tree. In a moment of desperation, the man prayed for safety, and remarkably, the dragon snake left. Shaken, he made his way back to the village and later needed medical treatment. Marius Bourrion, a former engineer, shared another chilling account too. Living in Cape Esperance, he and his friends were night fishing when one of them spotted the dragon snake. It shone brightly like a star about 60 feet across. After a while, it dived into the water and then resurfaced, glowing even more intensely before flying over the trees. Over 7 months, Bourrion claimed to have seen the creature around 60 times, which is pretty insane. With its described ability to glow and spit fireballs, it's unlike any known animal we know, linked to a lot of speculation of what it really could be. Our answer tier 2, Giant Anaconda. For over a century, explorers and natives in the Amazon have reported sightings of giant anacondas far surpassing the size of the largest known living snakes. These reports include snakes measuring from 50 to 150 feet long, with some claims of weights as extreme as 5 tons. Among the most notable accounts is that of British explorer Percy Fawcett, who we mentioned earlier, when in the early 20th century he claimed to have killed a 62-foot anaconda, a story that was met with skepticism at first, but later supported by cryptozoologist Bernard Heuvelmans. Fawcett's encounter took place not far from the confluence of the Tigor and Rio Negro rivers. He described shooting a giant anaconda with a .44 caliber rifle as it made its way up the bank, causing a significant disturbance in the water and against the boat. This account stands as one of the most detailed descriptions of an encounter with a giant anaconda, if it actually happened. The possibility of these giant anacondas is partly supported by the existence of slide marks left by these snakes. These marks, found in remote areas, are said to be 6 feet wide, suggesting the presence of snakes much larger than any currently documented. The anaconda's largely aquatic lifestyle and the dense, unexplored nature of the Amazon rainforest further fuel speculations about their existence and whether these places could actually harbor them. The discovery of Titanoboa, a prehistoric snake that lived approximately 60 million years ago and could grow up to 42 feet long, also adds some credibility to large snakes being alive. However, the Titanoboa is known to be long extinct, and no modern evidence has conclusively proven the existence of anacondas of similar size. And plus, back then the humidity and the environment was much different, so it does pose a lot of different questions. While some mainstream scientists acknowledge the potential for anacondas to reach lengths of up to 45 feet, the discovery of 6-foot wide slide marks has led others to wonder about snakes reaching up to 60 feet long. The search of these colossal serpents continues though, with the hope that one day evidence of their existence will be conclusively documented, which could unravel one of Amazon's greatest mysteries, and it would be really scary knowing that something like that is out there. Velishko's hairy monitor. The hairy monitor is a cryptid that originates from the heart of Mali, Africa. According to reports, this creature has been known to a local Bambara people, with its existence coming to light through the observations of Russian agricultural scientist Evgeny Velichko. Working in Mali for UNESCO, Velishko encountered tales of the hairy monitor from the Bambara people living around Katiabogo, but it wasn't until personal experience in 1966 that he became a direct witness to this mysterious animal. While driving from Katibogo to Bambako, Velichko's attention was caught by an unusual sight, a large monitor lizard-like creature emerging from a ravine. This wasn't just any ordinary lizard though. It had a size of about 2 meters and was covered in chocolate brown hair with a woolly texture, about 1.5 inches long. It was even said to have a long and bushy tail like a fox's, which makes it not like any known species of monitor lizard. The animal's appearance was so distinct that Velichko, despite not being an expert in African fauna, felt compelled to share his sighting with Vogrug Sveta magazine, hoping for some clarification or identification from readers more familiar with the wildlife of Africa. This account has fueled speculation in the cryptozoological community, with some Russian cryptozoologists wondering the possibility of the hairy monitor being a living fossil or a prehistoric remnant. They suggest it could be a descendant of the Permian non-mammalian therapsids, which are ancient reptiles that predated dinosaurs. This theory aligns with the creature's unique features, which don't match those of any current African wildlife or known prehistoric reptiles, presenting a pretty weird puzzle that defies easy categorization or explanation. Warline. The warline, also known as the jungle walrus, is a river monster that has had many sightings across various countries in Central Africa. From Angola to Mali and from the Central African Republic to Kenya, this creature has been described under different names but still shares a common fearsome reputation across the stretches of tropical rivers it's said to inhabit. Known by its semi-aquatic nature, the warline is often seen as a hairy beast with prominent tusks or fangs, which you'd probably guess but resembles Smilodon a lot. Even though its size isn't too great though, it's said to attack and kill hippos, asserting its dominance over territories. Some accounts even suggest the creature might have scales, attributed perhaps to the sheen of wet fur rather than actual reptilian skin. One of the most chilling accounts of the warline is its alleged man-eating behavior. Among the various types of warlines, the Murunugu of the Central African Republic and Chad stands out because of the frequency and detail of its sightings. Described as leopard-shaped with striped or dappled fur, long fangs, and a savage appetite for human flesh, this creature has been a source of a lot of terror for locals. The recorded encounters with warlines span decades too, with notable incidents including a 1911 attack where a Murunugu allegedly killed a French soldier. Despite the lack of concrete evidence though, the persistence of reports and the specific descriptions lend a certain credibility to the existence of something unexplained within these rivers. The evidence for the warline primarily consists of eyewitness accounts too, unusual wounds found on hippos, and ancient cave paintings that seem to depict the creature. While no physical remains have been conclusively linked to the cryptid, the consistent reports across time and geography still keep the mystery alive. Ngubu. In the savannas of Cameroon, the Ngubu is described as having 6 horns and hooves, and it reportedly competes with elephants for territory, despite its smaller size similar to an ox. This description has led some to speculate that the Ngubu might be a surviving ceratopsian, a group of horned dinosaurs that lived millions of years ago. The story of the Ngubu came to broad attention in November 2000 when William Gibbons and David Wetzel conducted preliminary research in Cameroon. They're investigating another cryptid, the Mokele Mbembe, which you probably all know, when they heard about the Ngubu from a group of pygmies. These locals distinguished the creature from the ordinary rhinoceros, describing its multiple horns and stating that an elder in the community had killed one with a spear years ago. They also mentioned that sightings of the Ngubu had become rarer, suggesting a decline in its population. While some think it might just be a misidentified or exaggerated rhino, the detailed descriptions of its horns and behavior doesn't entirely fit that of any known species of rhinoceros. Our answer tier 3, Beast of Sherman. In the 1960s, a young boy and his family in Sherman, New York, claimed to have encounters with 2 mysterious creatures that would be hard to believe if not for the details they shared. These incidents mainly came to light through a letter mentioned by John Keel, a well-known figure in the study of paranormal phenomena, in one of his books. The letter, written in 1970 by then 15-year-old, delves into experiences his family had with these strange beings on their property adjacent to the swamp. The creatures described were unlike anything typically found in forests of New York. They were massive, with bodies cloaked in white fur, and possessed physical characteristics reminiscent of ancient creatures long thought extinct. These beings, according to the letter, could navigate the environment on both 2 and 4 legs, and they exhibited sizes that ranged dramatically, from 12 to an impressive 18 feet in length, with tails extending another 6 to 8 feet. Such dimensions caused them to be among the largest cryptids ever reported in North American folklore. What makes the account from Sherman really interesting though is the detailed observations provided over an extended period. The creatures weren't fleeting visions or shadows in the night, they were substantial and reoccurring, observed by multiple members of the family and, according to the letter, at least 2 other residents of the area. This ongoing interaction with the cryptids offers a depth of narrative not really found in similar cryptid stories, where singular, often ambiguous encounters are the norm. These encounters in Sherman also of course raise questions about the nature and origin of the creatures. The comparison to the Mapinguari of South America and the prehistoric sloth hints at a possibility that remnants of ancient species might still roam secluded parts of the world, including the less explored regions of New York. Makara. The Makara is a creature from Hindu mythology that's caught the attention of people for centuries, especially because of its unique depiction art and carvings found in old temples across India, Cambodia, and Vietnam. This creature is often shown as a mix between a land animal, like a crocodile, and an aquatic one, with parts of its body resembling a fish or peacock's tail. What makes the Makara stand out though are the stories and the ancient carvings that have led to lots of speculation about what it could really be. One interesting place where the Makara appears is at Ta Prohum, a temple close to Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Here, there's a small carving on a temple wall that seems to show something that looks a lot like a dinosaur. This has made people wonder if the people who built these temples might have known about dinosaurs from finding their bones, or if the carving shows an animal they knew but that we don't know today. Some people think the carving might actually be that of a common animal like a cow or rhino, but with some background details that make it look more like a dinosaur than it really is. Apart from these historical carvings though, there have been some claims and sightings in more recent times that bring the Makara back into conversation. For example, there was a controversial discovery in Vietnam in 2013 where a strange creature was found, leading to lots of guesses about what it might really be. Some thought it could be related to the Makara or even a real-life sea dragon or dinosaur. However, this find eventually turned out to be a hoax. Kaiaimunu. In the dense jungles and coastal areas of Papua New Guinea, the Kaiaimunu is a cryptid often compared to the Therizinosaurus, a dinosaur known for its towering height and distinctive long claws. The creature stands out for its unique physical characteristics, described as having a long neck similar to a sauropod, yet still stands on 2 legs and wields formidable front claws. The mystery of the Kaiaimunu was brought into the spotlight by an article penned by Brian Irwin, an Australian who ventured into Papua New Guinea and collected first-hand accounts of the residents of West New Britain. According to their testimonies, the creature has made its presence known on Umbungi Island, among other locations, since the 1990s. Description of the Kaiaimunu paints a picture of a beast of substantial size, measuring 10 to 50 meters in length with a long tail, long neck, and a demeanor that suggests the creature not to be trifled with. Its skin is said to be smooth and shiny brown, evoking an image far removed from the typical fauna known to the region. Irwin's encounter with a young man named Robert on Umbungi Island provides a detailed account of a setting around 2005 or 2006. Robert described the creature as having a turtle-like head, a detail that contrasts a lot with the more horse-like head associated with the Therizinosaurus. The creature's diet appears to be vegetarian too, as it was observed eating vegetation before retreating into the water. This sighting, corroborated by others including Tony Avil, adds a layer of credibility to the existence of the Kaiaimunu, suggesting it's not merely stuff of legend. Sightings of the Kaiaimunu are sporadic though, with reports around Christmas time every 4 to 5 years, suggesting the creature might be nocturnal or elusive in nature. The few who have seen it though describe an animal that is as majestic as it is mysterious, capable of traversing both land and water with ease. Lau. The Lau is a mysterious creature said to inhabit the dense, papyrus-filled swamps around central Sudan's lake. Descriptions of the Lau vary widely, but most accounts depict it as a massive, dinosaur-like creature which draws some comparisons to the prehistoric Elasmosaurus. Reports suggest a lao can grow from 12 to 100 feet in length, possessing a long, tapering neck and a body likened to a donkey with flippers. Its most distinctive feature, however, is a series of bristling, tentacle-like appendages that reportedly protrude from its muzzle, aiding in the capture of its prey. The lao skin is described as having a yellowish-brown pigmentation, and despite the diversity in its reported appearances, ranging from a muscular and rounded form to an aquatic super snake with legs, most agree on its really formidable nature. The creature is often associated with the lokwata of Lake Victoria, sharing a notorious appetite for human flesh and emitting a cry similar to the thundering of elephants. The first international spotlight on the lao came in 1914 when a group allegedly killed a specimen in the swamps of Adar to use its bones for amulets, though no scientific body has ever examined the corpse. More sightings followed in subsequent years, including a 12-foot lao seen in Bahr el-Zaraf, and various reports throughout the early 20th century of the creature's presence and the eerie sounds it produced. In 1924, a British petty officer named Stephens received a supposed sample of a lao's vertebra. However, controversy arose when it was discovered that the bone provided was not actually from a lao, but another animal kept as a coveted talisman by the local who had promised a specimen. The intrigue surrounding the lao reached its peak in 1937 when a photo of a wooden effigy of a lao's head used in native rituals was published. Carved by a hunter who had spent years in the Nile swamps, this effigy provided a tangible link to the legend, but still pretty mysterious. Vio. The Vio is a cryptid believed to inhabit Rinca Island, Indonesia. It's described as a giant pangolin, comparable in size to a horse, stretching up to 10 feet long. Unlike typical pangolins though, the Vio boasts an extensive coat of bulletproof scales over its body, with fur on its head, throat, underbelly, inner legs, and tail. These creatures are known to spend their days hidden in the hills, emerging at night to forage along the coast, where their diet primarily consists of termites, ants, and occasionally stranded shellfish. They're recognized by their distinctive hoo-hoo-hoo call, often heard in the evening. One notable encounter involved a hunter from Rinca and a policeman who stumbled upon a Vio near Lohobuaji. The encounter was tense, with both men opting to lie still on the ground until the creature passed by, avoiding any confrontation. Despite some attributing Vio sightings to other animals like dugongs or the Komodo dragon, locals are clear in their distinction. The Vio's enormous size and unique features have led some cryptozoologists to speculate that it could be a surviving population of Manis pleojavancus, a large pangolin species that once lived in the region but is now considered extinct. Are onto tier 4 now, Masonichids. Masonichids, an interesting yet largely overlooked branch of the mammalian family tree, once roamed our ancient landscapes. Unlike the predominantly herbivorous ungulates that dominate our current ecosystem, Masonichids were fearsome predators. These creatures varied greatly in size though, ranging from small forms to those as large as horses. The physical characteristics of the Masonichids were quite distinctive too, featuring an evolutionary stage of hooves that was more primitive than those of modern ungulates. Their hooves appeared to be in a transitional state, not fully developed into the types we see today in creatures such as horses, deer, or cattle. For a long time, the prevailing narrative within the scientific community was that these hoofed predators faced extinction, with the exception of one lineage that ventured into aquatic environments, eventually giving rise to early whales such as the Basilosaurus. This narrative, however, has evolved. Recent discussions within the scientific community suggest that Masonichids might not be the direct ancestors of today's cetaceans, but rather close relatives to the actual progenitors. This revised perspective is supported by findings that many early ungulates were omnivores or carnivorous, with the shift to herbivore occurring later in the evolutionary history. Cryptozoological records hint at the possibility that Masonichids may have not completely vanished too. Reports from remote regions like South America describe creatures such as the tapir uara, which might suggest the existence of surviving Masonichid populations. Similarly, the horned cats of the islands near Java could potentially belong to this group, considering the islands are often the hotspot for living fossils. Yet it's the tale of the beast of Gévaudan in Europe, a region least expected to host such relics, that stirs the imagination with notions of a surviving hoofed predator.
Yirmu.
The Jirmu, also known as Uku, is a cryptid reported from the Andaman Islands, a territory once under British Raj and now part of India. Described as a giant carnivorous creature, it's instilled a lot of fear across various tribes of the Great Andamanese. This being is said to possess the capability to kill any living creature it encounters. Its presence is marked by a distinctive call that sounds like dar. According to local beliefs widespread across the Andaman Islands, this animal lurks within the remote jungles. In the northern parts of Andaman, it's referred to as Jirmu, while the Upukiwar language names it Uku. Tribal communities report that the Jirmu still remains among them. The introduction of elephants by the British in the late 19th and early 20th centuries led to some confusion among the Andamanese, who initially mistook these animals for the Jirmu due to their size. The notion of the Jirmu as a theropod dinosaur comes from interpretations that only such large carnivores could match the descriptions given by locals. However, this interpretation has sparked some debate. Some argue that the cryptid could have been a misunderstood setting of natural fauna, such as elephants, which the Andamanese identified as Jirmu, or even an unknown elephant-like animal. The comparison to theropod dinosaurs and specific references to dinosaur-like features in some depictions have been critiqued for lacking evidence and potentially misrepresenting the creature's true nature based on the available information. Kawuk. The Kawuk is a cryptid reported to inhabit the dense jungles of Nusa Kambangan Island, Indonesia. Described as a bipedal reptilian creature, it's known for its hostility and aggression towards human, distinguishing it from the native wildlife. The Kawuk's physical description aligns somewhat with that of a martel lizard, featuring 4 limbs and carnivorous habits. Unlike its known reptilian counterparts though, the Kawuk is said to possess the unique ability to stand upright and has been observed engaging in pack hunting, mostly under the cover of night. This behavior has instilled a deep fear among the island's residents, leading them to avoid storing corpses or carcasses in their homes to prevent attracting these creatures. In a notable encounter documented by Mirdaka News in 2014, a fisherman named Hiri and his companions witnessed a group of Kawuks tracking the body of their recently deceased friend. This event unfolded near the village of Solok Timur under the cover of night, necessitating the swift relocation of the body onto a ship to avoid any attack by the Kawuks. The urgency was heightened by the arrival of approximately 10 Kawuks, prompting the group to quickly move the corpse to safety. Such sightings are uncommon though, largely due to the limited presence of the media on the island and stringent controls over the movement of individuals by local authorities. The island, often referred to as the Indonesian Alcatraz, is an isolated and sparsely populated territory known for housing Indonesia's most secure prison. The island's dense jungles and limited electricity supply contribute to its mysterious and foreboding atmosphere, with the residents often relying on traditional machetes for protection against the wildlife. The Kawuk's true nature though remains a subject of speculation. It could represent an undocumented species of martel lizard, though existing species don't exhibit the same pack hunting behavior or bipedal stance attributed to the Kawuk. Alternatively, it might be a surviving population of a non-coelosaur theropod dinosaur or a heratosaur, suggesting a prehistoric relic. This theory, however, contrasts with the behavior of Komodo dragons, which share the island and are generally docile towards locals, who regard them as kin. Kor. The kor is a flying reptile reported from Manus Island, Papua New Guinea. Similar descriptions to the ropen of Umboy Island, located about 410 kilometers to the south, the kor is known by its bioluminescent capabilities, displaying various colors. This cryptid is said to have a long tail and is covered entirely in skin, with some individuals reaching considerable sizes. The kor is known to catch fish by skimming the ocean surface at night, using the light emitted from beneath its wings and belly to attract fish before swiftly capturing them in flight. There have been several accounts of encounters with the kor, with one of the most notable reports coming from a local named RK. He shared that until the early 1940s, the kor was a common and formidable threat to humans on Manus Island. According to RK, the arrival of Japanese soldiers during World War II led to aggressive encounters with the kor, which were met with gunfire, wounding several of the creatures. The soldiers pursued the injured kor to their cave dwellings and destroyed the entrances by detonating explosives. It was said that they further ensured the demise of the kor by calling for native artillery to bombard the cave-infested hills. Another encounter in the early 1960s involved a fisherman who was attacked by a core, resulting in the destruction of his canoe. In a desperate defense, the fisherman used his traditional spear to fatally injure the creature as it pursued him to shore. Although he managed to kill the core, the fisherman succumbed to his injuries 3 days later. In more recent times, Archie observed mysterious lights moving above fish shoals in 2010 between Rambayuto and Lobolan Islands. He recounted seeing lights 2 years prior during a boating trip, where he heard wing flaps and witnessed a creature diving into the sea, only to resurface moments later. The nature of the core remains speculative though. It's often considered a possible relic pterosaur similar to the Ropin and Solomon Islands dragon snake, sharing similar traits like bioluminescent, leathery wings, and a distinct tail. Another hypothesis suggests that the core could be a dragon-like creature, although it lacks the fire-breathing capability noted in the dragon snake of the Solomon Islands. Roe. The roe, which was reported in the late 1930s in Western New Guinea, Indonesia, presents a mysterious figure in the realm of cryptids. Described as a living dinosaur or large reptile, its appearance and behavior have puzzled even renowned cryptozoologist Bernard Heuvelmans. The roe is seen as a humpback dinosaur about 40 feet long, featuring a long and slim neck and tail. Its head is small and beaked, resembling a turtle, complete with a bony frill and a sharp beak. The creature's front legs are shorter than its hind legs too, suggesting it could rear up. The roe's body, covered in light brown-yellow scales, camouflages it with the swampy habitats it's said to reside in. Notably, its back is covered with triangular plates, and its long tail ends in a heavy, granitous spike, which, really reminds you of a dinosaur. The existence of the roe came to light through the accounts of Charles Cannibal Miller and his wife Leona, who encountered the creature during their honeymoon adventure in West New Guinea's jungles. They were living among the Kiriri, an undiscovered tribe, when they noticed the tribe using objects resembling elephant tusks, which are actually roe horns. The Kiriri eventually led the Millers to the roe's habitat, a swampy river delta. The Millers' sighting described the roe emerging from the reeds, its long neck rising and tail lashing out as it made noises. The creature even reared up several times, seemingly aware of their presence before disappearing into the surroundings. Despite this detailed account though, the story of the roe, complete with Charles Miller's supposed film of the creature, remains shrouded in skepticism. No physical evidence such as the tail spikes or photographic documentation has been presented to the public, and the very existence of the Kiriri tribe and the specifics of the encounter are doubted by many. Further intrigue is added by similar reports from other explorers and locals in New Guinea, hinting at the presence of a neo-dinosaurian cryptid across the region. However, the combination of characteristics from disparate dinosaur lineages like sauropods, ceratopsians, and stegosaurs in the description of the roe leads to speculation that the story may be a hoax or an embellished tale. Our Unsteer 5. Manta Bungal. The Manta Bungal is a mysterious creature from the folklore of the Tagbonua people residing on the Palawan Island in Philippines. Known for its elusive nature, this cryptid is said to dwell in the dense forests surrounding the Victoria Peaks, a region covered in mystery and has stories of local mythology. Characterized by its massive build similar to that of a cow or an elephant, the Manta Bungal possesses unique features that set it apart from known wildlife. It's described as having a long, shaggy coat of hair that cascades to the ground, hiding much of its frame. Unlike the typical predators of the wild, the Manta Bungal's most distinguishing feature is its enormous mouth, equipped with 2 pairs of giant incisors, both on the upper and lower jaws, which is said to use with deadly efficiency to shred its unfortunate victims. Despite its herbivorous diet primarily consisting of fruits and fresh shoots, the Manta Bungal exhibits a surprisingly aggressive demeanor towards humans and other intruders. It's known to trample and tear apart any perceived threat, leaving behind a trail of destruction for scavengers to feast upon. Their instinctual aversion to man-made structures is evident in their behavior, as they reported to demolish huts and other small buildings before turning their aggression toward living targets. The Manta Bungal is most often encountered either roaming alone or in pairs, though they have been known to congregate near watering holes, reminiscent of elephant behavior. Sightings of the cryptid are rare too, with accounts often stemming from individuals venturing deep into its domain. One such account tells of a man who, upon hearing bovine-like moos during a stay in the mountains, found his campsite utterly destroyed by the Manta Bungal, his belongings chewed to bits. The true nature of the Mantabungal though remains a subject of speculation. Some theorize it could represent a surviving relic population of prehistoric elephants such as Stegotetrabelodon or Ogompothere, pointing to its similarity to these extinct giants. Others suggest it may be an entirely new species of large animal yet to be recognized by science. Xiao. The xiao, also known as the raucous bird, is a mythical creature from Chinese folklore, resembling a bird with notable distinctions that align it with characteristics of certain dinosaurs, such as the Microraptor or Changoraptor. These ancient dinosaurs, which inhabited China during the Cretaceous period, are believed to bear similarities to the xiao's description, suggesting a possible link between myth and prehistoric reality. The xiao is described to inhabit the remote areas around China's Bridge Channel Mountain, characterized by its unique anatomy of 4 wings and a tail resembling that of a dog. Also, it's noted for producing sounds similar to a magpie. Mythological descriptions of the xiao sometimes include having a singular eye on its forehead, and it's believed that consuming the xiao could cure abdominal pain and diarrhea. Despite these descriptions though, there's no contemporary sightings or substantial evidence to support the existence of the xiao in modern times. The creature's description might hint at an undiscovered species of bird, or potentially a surviving relic of dinosaurs like the Microraptor. These dinosaurs are known for their forward-wing structure and long, fluffy tails, which they might have used for gliding between trees in pursuit of prey, which closely mirrors the xiao's described abilities. Stoa. The stoa, a lesser-known cryptid said to reside in the Amazonian rainforest of Brazil, mostly around the area known as Cerro do Curupira, emerged through accounts dating back to the early 20th century. The first notable report came from a 1920 encounter by Lord John and his military squad near a tribal village by a lake. During this incident, a group of large lizard-like creatures described as being the size of a buffalo and grayish in color reportedly leaped from a cliff and began attacking the natives with brutal force. The creatures were said to be immune to bullets and eventually succumbed to the effects of numerous poisoned arrows shot by the natives. These descriptions closely align with the physical attributes of the Carnotaurus, a large theropod dinosaur known to have inhabited South America around 75 million years ago. The region where these sightings were reported remains largely untamed though, with a small number of native inhabitants living in seclusion. Interestingly, the effectiveness of the poison arrows over bullets in bringing down these creatures highlights the lethal potency of the toxins used by the natives, derived from the venom of colored frogs, capable of killing a human in less than 2 minutes. This detail lends a kinda interesting twist to the narratives, suggesting that traditional indigenous knowledge and weaponry might still hold formidable power against such formidable beasts, which makes you wonder if they're used specifically for creatures resembling prehistoric animals. Muhuru. The muhuru comes from the depths of Kenya's jungles. According to first-hand accounts, the creature is described as a behemoth, heavily armed with large, thick bony plates across his back, similar to a living fortress. This cryptid was first brought to public attention by missionary Cal Bombay and his wife, who relayed stories of their encounters with the muhur. Since then, it sparked speculation about its possible connection to long-extinct dinosaurs like the Stegosaurus, which was a plant-eating dinosaur from the late Jurassic period known for its distinctive row of bony plates along its back and spiked tail. However, the witness descriptions of the muhuru seem to align more closely with Ankylosaurus, another group of armored dinosaurs, rather than Stegosaurus. Witnesses and locals describe the muhuru as having a demeanor that belies its herbivorous diet, with aggressive tendencies towards intruders in its territory. This behavior, along with its fearsome appearance, has cemented the muhuru's reputation as a creature to be both revered and feared. Numerous accounts provide a vivid picture of the muhuru's physical abilities and behavior. One account details a harrowing encounter with the beast, describing how it completely destroyed a campsite, leaving nothing but destruction in its wake. Such tales contribute to the growing lore surrounding the muhuru and just add some layers to its mysterious existence. The possibility that the muhuru could be a descendant of dinosaurs that has evolved over 150 million years to adapt new features, such as a clubbed tail, presents an interesting hypothesis for scientists and cryptozoologists. This theory suggests that the passage of time could have witnessed the emergence of a subspecies with distinct characteristics from its ancient ancestors. Alright, on to the last tier now, tier 6. Black Demon. The black demon shark, known in Spanish as El Demonio Negro, is a mysterious and massive marine creature reported to dwell off the coast of Mexico's Baja California peninsula. For years, local fishermen and residents have shared tales of sightings, adding to the legend of this elusive oceanic cryptid. Descriptions of the black demon vary though, but it's consistently reported as an enormous shark with estimates of its length ranging from 20 to 60 feet and weighing up to 100,000 pounds. Unlike any known shark species, the black demon is characterized by a strikingly dark coloration and a significant large tail, which distinguishes it from the familiar great white shark. First coming into the spotlight around 2008, the black demon shark has sparked intrigue and speculation among cryptozoologists and marine biologists alike. There are several theories about the creature's true nature. Some suggest it could be a surviving megalodon, the prehistoric giant shark that is thought to have gone extinct millions of years ago. Others believe the black demon could represent a new, yet to be discovered species of shark, or perhaps an extraordinarily large specimen of the known great white shark. Despite the mystery surrounding the black demon, various expeditions and investigations have been launched in hopes of uncovering the truth. Notably, the creature was featured in an episode of Monster Quest titled Mega Jaws, where researchers aim to gather evidence of its existence. However, these efforts have yet to produce conclusive results, and sightings of the black demon remain rare, leaving much about this creature shrouded in mystery. Karaduku. The Karaduku or Kara lizard is referred to by the Great Andamanese, whose language lends the term duku for lizard. This cryptid has intrigued both locals and explorers in the Andaman archipelago. According to the indigenous people, this creature is a descendant of marten lizards, notable for its formidable size and large teeth, which it purportedly uses to consume its prey. Descriptions of the Karaduku portray it as a massive lizard-like creature, invoking images of a creature far removed from the typical wildlife encountered in the region. The first notable attempt by outsiders to document the Karaduku came from British explorers in the early 20th century. Mr. Portman, one of the explorers, claimed that the natives had killed one of these creatures in the middle Andaman and presented him with its bones. Despite his assertions, none of his contemporaries nor any other officers who had extensively explored the islands reported encountering such a creature. This skepticism was compounded by explorers' inability to align the descriptions of the Karaduku with any known animal in the area. Some speculated that the term might refer to sperm whales, known to the Great Andamanese as Birigata, yet this hypothesis did not fit the lizard-like descriptions offered by the locals and observed by Portman. Alright, onto the last entry, Sta. In Egyptian mythology, the Sta represents a fascinating amalgam of animal traits, described as possessing the head and neck of a highly venomous asp paired with the body of a large feline, although other quadrupedal forms have occasionally been substituted for the feline aspect. This creature, like many hybrid entities in ancient Egyptian lore, was revered as a deity, embodying the complex relationship between the natural world and the divine representation in Egyptian culture. Speculation about the Sta's real-world inspiration includes the possibility of it being based on ancient observations of large marten lizards. Some researchers propose that it could have been an extinct species of leggy reptile that developed a more feline-like physique to better compete with Nile basin predators. A minority of experts even entertained the idea that the Sta might have been a small sauropod, linking it to the dinosaur family known for their long necks and four-legged stance. Another interesting theory posits that the Sta could have been inspired by fossils of Basilosaurus, which was a long-necked prehistoric whale discovered in the Wadi al-Hitan or Wadi of the Whales in Egypt. The presence of these ancient whale fossils in the region could have influenced local mythology, leading to the creation of hybrid creatures like the Sta in Egyptian lore. So that ends the video. I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to leave some feedback in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.